Danielle, please read the statement of adequate notice.
In accordance with Chapter 231, PL 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required, specifying the time and location, with such notice of being sent to the Asbury Park Press, and the time of Trenton posted on the Municipal Public Notice Meeting Bulletin Board and filed with the Township Clerk.
Okay, thanks. Would everyone please stand and join us in the flag salute? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Danielle, would you call the roll?
Chairman Newman?
Yes.
Mayor Farrell?
Here.
Committeewoman Zabrowski? Here. Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pito?
Yes.
Ms. Sinha?
Yes.
And for the record, Mr. Pepe, Mr. Coffey, and Mr. Ziner are absent. Alternate 1 and alternate 2 are vacant seats.
Okay, thank you. Before we get started with our agenda, the first item is public comment. If anyone would like to approach the planning board to discuss anything that's not otherwise scheduled for discussion on our agenda, this is your opportunity. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and move on to the approval of our minutes from our April 12th meeting. Would someone like to make a motion to move those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks. Any comments or suggested revisions? Seeing none, Danielle, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pito?
Yes.
Ms. Sinha?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is a resolution for memorialization consideration. It's 37 Burnt Tavern LLC, Block 57, Lot 17.04. Would someone like to make a motion to move that resolution? And it's only those folks that are available on the list here. All right, so I'll make the motion to memorialize the resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or suggested revisions?
Chairman Newman, if I may, on the initial page, and I apologize, Mr. Scott, I recognized it after, and on the copy that you have here, the lots I've changed the lot numbers to say 1704, consolidated lots 1702 and 1703 to look like it did on the agenda application.
So the version that I have, or you mean the version
The
we're...
version that was emailed just said lots 1702 and 1703. It now says lot 1704, and then in parentheses, consolidated lots 1702 and 1703. If you're
Oh, up
okay
here,
with-
sorry.
If you're
Okay,
okay with
I'm
that
looking.
correction.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's just a ministerial correction. Okay, Mike, is that satisfactory?
It's okay.
Okay, so my motion stands and the second stands? Okay. Any other comments or suggested revisions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Pito?
Yes.
Ms. Sinha?
Yes.
And Chairman Newman.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Next on our agenda is a discussion item, and it's the Showplace Farms property, Block 23, Lot 8. Is there someone here who'd like to approach the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, good evening. Kenneth Pape of the firm Heilburn Pape on behalf of CRP CHI Showplace Farms, the owner of the property. Mr. Chair and board members, in 2020, when we presented this application to the planning board, we discussed the water tower and indicated that the water tower would be painted, and the language that was memorialized in the resolution was sky color, cloud color. Sky color, cloud color. And it has been installed. It has a factory finish on it. It is a off-white, and I have photos that show, and the building behind it is a whitish gray building, and it is behind trees, so from the road it is blocked by trees. I have photos of three photos that were taken of the water tower against a clouded sky that I would ask that you review, and we're looking to your confirmation that the colors that were chosen.
It's all okay.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
So, that's, each of those has the water tower in it. As you know, my office is literally directly across the street from the water tower. And unless I make a concerted effort to find it, you can't find it.
So just give us the perspectives of where is 1, 2, and 3 taken from?
So,
Oh, sorry, it's on there. Okay. I have to turn the page.
the cost of repainting it, and you'll see this in my note, the cost of repainting it, and it can be repainted. The cost of repainting it is $10,000. What our client offered was to meet with your Shade Tree Commission planner or as directed, and to spend the $10,000 as directed with enhanced landscaping along the 33 corridor, which is not looking to avoid the cost, just looks like it came out pretty neutral.
So, if the board is inclined to agree with the idea of leave it as is and work on another way for the dollars, is that something that will require an amended plan and you come back for an amended site plan, or how does that get handled?
I would suggest if first we're asking, is the language that appears in the resolution, the language says applicant agreed to paint the tower with sky color cloud colors. If you find that this meets those standards, that's what we're asking for, and the applicant is stating there is a cost savings to them that they would be willing to expend as landscaping, and rather than go through a revised plan, we would ask, could we meet with Shade Tree and Ms. Mertz, or as directed on the site, and choose locations and materials that would be best installed.
But I know, I'm with you, but if the idea is that makes sense, I'm asking, I guess it's a legal question to you or Mike, how do we do that, aside from just saying, good idea, if that's where we want to go?
Well, I think you have two decisions to make. The first decision is what they have done, does that meet what is in the resolution?
Right.
In which case, they're done. If you think it doesn't meet the resolution, then you can either tell them we want some different colors, or they've offered to put in some additional landscaping and screening, in which case they're asking for you to defer that to your engineer and your planner as to the adequacy of the enhancements. I think I've correctly stated it.
Well stated.
So I'll jump in first. I don't have a concern as to the current color of the water tower and its compliance. It's very subjective. But on the other hand, if that's the path we go, on the idea of landscaping enhancements, I would suggest that we do something slightly different, that a group of us, and I'll just say 2 or 3 planning board members, if they're so inclined, including myself, meet with whoever your representative is and maybe the Shade Tree Commission and Matt, and go out there and decide where the additional plantings could go, as folks that drive by there all the time, and maybe there's something where we've said to ourselves, boy, that'd be another couple spots for a pine tree, or sorry, we didn't think of that.
Excellent idea. That's what we would like to do. Sure.
So that would be my thoughts on this, but I'm 100% open to other concerns or thoughts.
I'm agreeing with that decision.
Okay. How's everyone else feeling? Yeah. Okay. All right, so
That works for you. Is there any resolution required, or just memorialized in the minutes, and we'll...
I think we're going to do a resolution.
Resolution, very fine.
So
And
do
then
you
we'll
need-
meet with,
But I need to just have some clarification on the subcommittee, how many members,
expecting a maximum of 3.
I would say that's
And I'd
correct.
like to be one of the 3, so I'm
I'll
sorry.
make it number 2 if you want.
All right, now we're down to 1.
Looking for volunteers.
We're looking for one more volunteer in addition to me and Tom. But we're not. No one else has to do it. It's just, for some, I guess it's
Depends
something we're
on what
thinking.
time of day you go. I don't get home from work till late, so.
Well, all right, so you can be on backup.
Oh.
So we will schedule it, and if you can make it, fine. If not, fine. And I don't know my schedule or Tom's schedule. We'll figure it out. We both got it.
I'll make myself available.
Yeah, me too. It can't be more than a 20-minute commitment of just kicking the tires and walking around for a few minutes. So we'll coordinate that with Matt.
It has to be a cool day, not hot.
It's got to be the right temperature.
It's right
No
temperature.
rain also, by the way. And right, and you'll bring
You have to
snacks.
get somebody from Shade Tree Commission to be there.
Then we go to the ice cream place.
You could.
Okay, that's part, all right, now who's in? All right, so let's do that. You'll communicate with the Shade Tree Commission, see if they have a couple of folks that might want to join us, and be rather informal. And then I'm going to say that you should probably just pick a day and a time, otherwise we will torture ourselves picking something, and me and Tom will figure it out.
Who are we meeting from your side?
Greg?
Greg Strickland.
Yeah, Greg Strickland, the gentleman who manages the site.
All
And
right.
I'll coordinate, you coordinate through me and I'll have Greg come in.
Okay, and I anticipate that whatever we decide, you're not planting till the fall, so.
Planting season, correct?
Yeah, so there's no urgency, so find the right weather day, Matt.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Mike, do we need to do anything to,
I think you just have a vote to adopt that.
okay, so I'll, in lieu of a motion, I'll suggest that the board has determined that we'll move ahead with leaving the tower as its current color condition, and accept the applicant's idea of taking those funds and putting them to better use in some landscape enhancements to be determined cooperatively with the applicant and several members of the town, that, as we discussed. All in favor of proceeding in that direction, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I think we're in good shape.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Next item on our agenda was consideration of master plan amendments. However, due to some last-minute investigation that the board and its consultants are working on, we're going to put that off until June.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're going to announce that the review of the Housing Element Fair Share Plan revision will be for June 14, 2023, in the same room at 7:30 p.m. There may be some revisions. They will be submitted at least 10 days prior to the next meeting, so anyone who's interested can tune in 10 days before, within that 10-day period, to see what changes they are. We don't anticipate that they're going to be major, but we're not going to go through them this evening. But anyone who's interested should check in on that 10 days before the meeting.
Thanks. Next item on our agenda is an application request for a 6-month extension of a minor subdivision approval, AACDML Property LLC, Block 55, lots 2.03 and 3. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Kenneth Pape, on behalf of AACDML Property LLC. This is a request for a 6-month extension of the time period to perfect the minor subdivision of AADCML. That subdivision was approved as part of the site plan application presented last winter. It was memorialized in December. Because the property is on a state highway, there's, in addition to this town's subdivision approval and the county subdivision approval, there's a requirement of the DOT to approve the subdivision. That's pending. It has not been released to us. The client did work with Matt. The client's engineer did work with Matt, has worked out the map and the legal descriptions. The administrative elements are complete. but we do need the DOT's approval to move forward. Just as an aside, that 180 days to perfect a minor subdivision, somebody should fix the statute. It's just, I don't think you can.
Well, if you add in DOT, you got no shot.
So we anticipate that it'll be handled very summarily, but we do need additional time. It is scheduled to expire, the protections are scheduled to expire June 14th, 2023. We're asking for the extension for a 6-month period that would take us to December 14th, 2023.
Matt, is your understanding the same as the applicant?
Yes, we reviewed all the descriptions, a lot of reviewing. And everything, we're good with all the descriptions, just waiting for DOT to approve the subdivision and
Okay, that's the only other outside
just
agency?
conservation easements, that's
all done.
It's all done, everything's done, yeah.
Okay. Any questions from any board members? 6 months is adequate? I'm not suggesting
Yeah.
longer. Okay, that sounds correct to
The
you.
application's been
Not to
filed.
come back again.
Matt McKinley, no changes in zoning in this area since the approval?
This is a PCD zone, whether it affects the minor subdivision or not.
Yeah, anything that affects a minor subdivision?
I don't think the minor
Acreage is the
subdivision.
same, and they were given variances for not having a buildable area, which.
That
stayed the
hasn't
same.
changed either, yeah.
That was with the lot that's in a
They
conservation
still- They
easement.
still have 20 acres
Right.
minimum, yes.
No change in the character. The area hasn't developed significantly since
Better
the
not, no.
last
We would've seen it.
190 days.
I'll inspect it tomorrow. No.
Okay, all right, that's enough. Thanks. All right, so we've heard from the applicant and our professionals, nothing else from the board. Then I think it would be appropriate, Mike, that we would look for a motion to approve the 6-month extension for the minor subdivision element of this application only.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, so I'll make that motion. Are there any conditions related to that? Not aware
It
of
will be
any.
subject to all conditions of the original approval.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I have the motion out there. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on the pending motion? Seeing none, Danielle, please call the roll.
Mayor Farrell?
Yes.
Committeewoman Zabrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Cato?
Yes.
Ms. Sinha?
Yes.
Chairman Newman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. The next 2 items are being carried that are on our agenda, which is 1 and 5 Grand Haven LLC, both the same applicant. So would you, Mike, please confirm they're carried to June 14th?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we received correspondence from Mr. Pape requesting that the matters be carried to the June meeting so that these matters, they're not notice matters because they're extensions that do not require notice, but they
They did.
5 years.
over 5 years.
This,
Oh, I did notice it.
We did notice. So it's been noticed. Anyone who's interested, it's going to be on June 14, 2023, 7:30 PM, the same room.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next and last item on our agenda is the continuation of JLE LLC, Block 20, Lot 3.13. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant?
Mr. Chair, board members, yes, Kenneth Pape of Highover and Pape.
Mr. Chairman, this is a continuation hearing. This applicant previously noticed or took jurisdiction, and the board continuing has jurisdiction to hear the continuation hearing of this application.
Mr. Pape, at the last hearing, when we kind of started...
to speak up. I'm sitting 10 feet away from you. I can't hear a word anybody says.
Really?
The air conditioning is a little loud, so.
Oh, yeah, we're not hearing that.
I don't know what it is, but the only one that can really hear is Mr. Shaffer. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, no problem.
We reverberate off the dais.
All right, thanks for letting us know. Yeah, I don't usually use the, anyway. So, Mr. Pape, at the last hearing, you had started by outlining the various witnesses for us and letting us know that you were starting or restarting with your engineer. We completed the testimony, and there were several others. So if you could just recap for us who has spoken and who's going to go next.
Surely.
Thanks.
Surely. The applicant's professional team is Louis Zogner, the professional engineer who testified at the last meeting. There were specific items that this board requested that the applicant bring back as a result of his testimony. So we intend to begin with Louis Zogner this evening. He has some testimony on lighting and landscaping, and he has line of sight exhibits to present to the board, and he'll also put some of the groundwork in place for the sound wall that will be presented by the second witness. The second witness is Norman Dottie. Norman Dottie is an acoustical, is an engineer who's with an area of expertise in acoustics, and he'll present the testimony about the effectiveness of the wall. There was a suggestion that perhaps the wall could be revisited, and you'll see that we have multiple walls to show you, including one where Mr. Dottie was able to accomplish the same effectiveness as the original 18-foot wall with a repositioned wall at 12 feet. And we're going to present all of that to you. And Mr. Dottie will also address the sound associated with a compactor. Sneak preview, we're going to put the compactors, hydraulics inside the building, so they're inside the building. And the fountain we're going to replace with a bubbler so that there's no fountain signs. But those are all Mr. Dottie. In addition, we have Mr. Steve Radosti, who is our architect, who has designed the building, including will describe to the board the type of building, its rating, and go through the issues that were brought to our attention in your staff report. We have Dr. Raymond Walker, who has been the environmental scientist who has supervised this project from an environmental perspective. He has some information assembled about water usage. There was a couple of questions the last time about water usage that would be associated with this site. We have Mr. Scott Kennel, I didn't see him, is our traffic expert who will go over the status of our DOT application approved and go through the on-site circulation elements. And the last witness is James Higgins, professional planner. Realistically, Mr. Chair and board members, I envision that we won't get all of those fully before the board this evening. I'd be most pleased if we were able to present Mr. Dottie and Steve Radosti and Dr. Walker, but we'll follow your guidance.
Okay, so call your first witness, please.
Very fine. The first witness is Louis Zogner, our professional engineer, whose credentials are on the record, whose expertise was established and accepted, and who is under oath. Where will you set up your exhibit?
I'm hoping to, I guess, set it up in this corner.
I think it would, if we take a moment to have it set up, Louis. The line of sight exhibit has been prepared, which Mr. Zogner will take us through. And also, there were some very specific questions about lighting that were posed by the board. Mr. Lambros had asked if 2700 Kelvin was available, not a standard lamp. Louis found it, and we can bring it in. He'll go through that with you.
Mr. Pate, what would suggest we just start with the rendering of the site?
I think so. And then be prepared to go to the line of sight.
Mr. Zogner, for the record, you were previously sworn in connection with this application. You understand you're still under oath.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. One administrative, Mayor and Committeewoman weren't at the last meeting. Could we confirm that certifications were done so that, yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I've reviewed the full video from the last meeting. I've reviewed every document that was submitted.
Thank you.
And
And
they
I
sign
attested-
certifications.
And I signed the certification. And I actually have several questions that I need to ask of you, which were not previously asked.
Okay. Mr. Zugner, floor is yours. I'm going to ask if you could take us through the lighting and the landscaping and the line of sight, and then I have a couple of questions before the board has their questions for you.
Certainly. Is microphone able to pick me up? Is that? And one thing I guess I would note too, to start, there was a question at the last meeting, and I can confirm we did deliver copies of paperwork to the Environmental Commission. So starting with the lighting, and we know we talked about how the site lighting worked, and I believe it was a board member, Mr. Lambros, had asked about 2700 Kelvin for the light temperature. Understanding that as the temperature goes lower, it's sort of a softer light as opposed to harsh white. And what I can say is we did find a supplier who can do this. It's not a standard, but it can be done, and we can incorporate that into these fixtures. Additionally, I know we talked a bit about this, all of the perimeter site lighting we would put on motion sensors so that it wasn't on all the time. And then the other lighting throughout the overnight hours, because they are LEDs, would be dimmed to a lower intensity in the overnight hours. Of course, the early morning, evening, and the winters, those are times where it would be at its planned brightness. In the other hours, it could go lower. Landscaping. We know we talked quite a bit about landscaping and some of the plants and materials. We did speak with Halka Nurseries. They do have trees available at 10 to 16 feet, so which is larger trees, evergreen trees. They have pines and blue spruce trees. So that could be incorporated into this landscape plan, these larger trees to help improve sort of the impact of the landscaping we're proposing. Of course, I know we talked a bit before about the intent throughout is to sort of have this naturalized buffering and screening. So not just trees, but also shrubbery, particularly native shrubs, things like hollies and laurels, blueberries, high bush blueberries and spice bush, things that incorporate into the tree plantings at different levels. And in that respect, I think what might work well here, I know the board is familiar with this process, whether it's with the Shade Tree Commission or someone you appoint, it would probably be appropriate to go to specific areas on the site and physically locate gaps where we would plant material so that it really filled in gaps in the surrounding trees in terms of where Arrowhead Way is. And then also at our entry drive.
Can I just interrupt you for a second for clarification? You would be doing that in communication with our engineer, Mr. Shafai?
So what I would say is we do it as the board directed. I would assume Mr. Shafai would be
Me and somebody from Shade Tree Commission, but you're not sure where you're gonna put them yet.
correct. So
Would there be a note or something?
I think we would identify a number of plants on the plan and then general areas. So I would be thinking towards Arrowhead Way where the existing trees are, that we'd want to infill that. I think that would be a key area. Also, as we go down toward the entry drive on 33, there's an existing pocket of trees there that in many ways has sort of outlived its life. A lot of the understory is not great. It might even involve some removal of some of that material and replacement.
Will there be a note on the plan saying that it's subject to site meeting together before we go anywhere? Because we're just guessing right now.
It's going to be a condition of approval.
Yeah, I want to make sure there's a real good note on the plan or on the resolution that says what we're doing, so.
Understood.
So is this any place where there's existing trees that butt up to any residential uses? You'll look at supplementing any gaps? Is that generally what you're saying?
The Shade Tree Commission have raised such an issue, and we touched on it when we were here last month. The answer is yes. Trees, bushes, and understory along the tree line that there's one tree line in the back that must be 500 feet deep.
Yeah,
And then there's
yeah.
one tree line on the west, which I think is what we're talking about. And then that small corner at the driveway, as Louis described it, as outlived its usefulness. It's tired. It needs to be redone.
So tree lines that the Matt and the Shade Tree Commission determined that have gaps that create visual pathways to adjacent neighbors
And
would be
also, it's
subject to
gonna be
being.
four-season trees, like pine trees. not
Yeah,
just
right,
because
right.
This came up last meeting that wintertime, you could see
Yeah,
all the way
we-
across.
Right, so, right, it'd be evergreen
So
as.
this would
the-
help that situation.
Correct.
Well, I just want to, that was going to be one of my questions. During the winter months, when the shrubbery and the trees are bare, the line of sight to distances to the homes on Arrowhead Way, Indian Path, and Dugan's Corner is going to be much more visible at that point. At night, it's going to be even worse because now we have light from these trucks that are going to be spread, being shown. How do we anticipate handling that issue?
Well, we were asked, I don't know whether it was someone from the floor or someone from the board, but we were asked to have a perimeter fence.
The sound wall, or what you're referring to?
The sound wall is the sound wall for sound purposes.
Okay.
But we were asked to have a perimeter fence, and we would have no objection at all to having a perimeter fence. We would, if that's something that the board is comfortable with, we would look to you for guidance as to materials, colors, and height. But, a 6-foot vinyl fence along the common border should do a pretty good job of intercepting the lights.
All right, I'm also worried about sound, and I'm going to hold that for your sound engineer. But again, in the dead of winter, at night, the decibels go much further, and it's much quieter. So I'm worried for a number of reasons. The diesel trucks coming in, when they go in reverse, there's going to be beeping, and I know somebody had mentioned that at the last meeting, and I really didn't capture a good answer to how that was going to be mitigated. So
We didn't get to sound.
no, I understand that. I just want to make sure that we put it on the table so everybody's satisfied with the answer.
Sure. Ready to continue?
So these are new boards that I would have. Best here, figure out how we can. And we want to identify this one.
So if you could describe what it is, who prepared it, and we'll label it A.
We're going to start at A52. We did not mark A50, which was an email granting an extension of time to act through June 30th, 2023. A51 was Freehold Soil Conservation District Review Revisions dated 4/17/23. There's a copy up there for you, Mr. Cleaver, if you'd like to use that. And we'll start with
Thanks.
A51.
51,
52, I'm sorry, excuse me.
So A52, this is the section of Arrowhead Way. This had come up at the last meeting, a request to see effectively like a line of sight. This is identifying the far left, the home, the cul-de-sac in Arrowhead Way, showing this at an effective scale and taking us out with a few lines to show some reference. We're starting, it will be a second floor window in that home.
Is what's on the computer screen the same as that presentation board? It looks different.
No, that's not it.
They all look the same.
Was this one submitted as an electronic?
None of them were submitted till just now, so I don't know which one it
Yeah, try
was.
one more.
maybe in the future we could submit these ahead so I can mark them for you. What is the,
This is section Arrowhead.
Sometimes I do that.
Looks like that's that one, it looks like, yeah.
That's the left half.
Yeah.
That might be, okay, if you zoom out, let's zoom out.
Oh, it's in two panels.
Right, so now that's what's on the board, but shown one on top of the other instead of side by side.
Yeah. Oh, I thought the digital file had it established, no, just for the other one.
It's just hard to see the board.
Yeah, that's what I was-
pops a lot better on the
Right.
screen.
We'll continue with what we have here. So, just trying to give
That's the right one.
sort of a reference of what you're looking through. As you look from Arrowhead Way towards what would be a truck height and the building. And I think what this is giving is sort of a perspective of there are existing trees at that property line. I know you can see through and under those trees, but they are tall trees. We've established some typical heights to the tallest of those trees, which are all over 50 feet. And then you can see, as we come across towards the building, and I talked before about how we've landscaped in layers at different points as you go through, both shrubs and evergreens and deciduous trees with that mix. Those are obscuring sort of a lower level, just giving you a feel for what that line of sight was, which is what I'm requesting.
So you're saying this is from the second story of a house at that cul-de-sac?
Correct. You can see, you're looking through these trees, and from some ground level or something you could see under those, but then you're going through varying different heights of planted landscaping. Just giving you that.
Which house? I just want to know which house.
Yours.
So can you, it's not a hard time, so sight line to roof, so you're saying from the house over there, the sight line to the warehouse roof,
The
correct?
top of the roof.
And then what is about sight line to?
Second one is coming to what would be the height of a truck.
Okay, from that same house,
From that
okay.
same-
Louis, does this cut through the sound wall, the site section?
So the sound wall is shown right in here.
Okay.
It's shown at the 18-foot height. So you can see, the lower line, that's right through the wall, so you wouldn't actually.
Wait, where's
Can
the,
you,
where's
that's
the
what I was gonna
wall?
ask,
Yeah.
it's very hard to see.
I don't see the wall.
Skinny line, right there.
The wall on TV is right
It's
here.
right there. That's right. Yeah, it's the head
But-
actually.
There's no vegetation for 6 months.
I see
Sound
it.
barrier.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
under
there it
the tree
is.
now, yes. I see
Okay,
it.
so looking at it from that second floor, looking straight, it's almost a fake, because you're not gonna see through the wall.
Right, I think you, had specifically asked, draw the line out.
Yeah, of
right,
course,
even though
of
you might
course.
see through things.
Right. So if you get through the trees and you get through the bushes, you're not getting through the wall. And then if you look-
Because I can see the poles out of my backyard.
And then if you look up at an upward angle, this is telling us that at some point in the growth of those trees, you don't see through the trees. But what's the difference between a tree that is drawn in dark and a tree that it's clouded
Right, so
in?
the dark is based on its planting height.
Okay.
So on the plan, those are the heights things would be planted at. And then the shaded part is extrapolating 10 years down the line what it would grow to.
What's the height of planting versus extrapolated?
The height of its planting is based on the actual plant, so.
Yeah, right,
The
no.
evergreen is 6 to 8 feet.
Okay.
It's showing it at 6 to 8 feet.
And what's
And I'm going
the,
to correct the 6 to 8 feet because we went to the Halka Nurseries and specifically asked if they had available 10 to 16 feet.
right,
Pines, evergreens, they have their own pines, evergreens, and blue spruces, they have all of those. So we would propose in the area of the sound wall that we'd be planting at those higher elevations, higher, I would say 14 to 16 feet.
so the difference, and that's just where I'm going. So the difference in height between those two sight lines is what? Approximately? Right where the sound wall is that
Right
it?
here, the scale is 1 inch equals 10 feet, so that's
10 feet.
10 feet.
10 feet. So if you were going to plant a tree at, we're rounding everything, at 6 feet, but instead you're going to go 16 feet, arguably you catch up to the top of that sight line.
The wall is proposed at 18 feet.
Yeah, so the way I'm seeing it is the top line to the warehouse roof from the house, you're always going to see over top of it, the way that it is depicted there.
Except that at
Right?
the property
Today.
line, you're seeing, that line's coming through.
Yeah,
At ground level, you can see under those existing trees.
So let's go back to the first, the top slide, because I think that'll address that first question. So in that looking up scenario, you first got to get through the first group of trees. It's got to be the dead of winter with no evergreens, and then once your sight line gets through that, you get to the next part where they've said they'll plant the taller evergreens. And by the way, I just want the public to know, just because the board is asking questions and is talking this through, doesn't mean we love it, doesn't mean we're voting one way or another. We gather facts, and sometimes those facts sound like they're going one way or another. They're not. They're facts. We'll figure it out later. So in that gap analysis we talked about in landscaping, I would suggest that one of the benefits to that is in this first group of trees that we're seeing in this slide here, that would fill in those gaps so that even in the winter conditions, you might not get through your line of sight. Your line of sight might not get through that strand.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, there was a request made during the hearing the last time by one of the neighbors asking if we would landscape their properties. We had said that we would. I think that if we had permission, and I said this, if we had permission to go on an individual's property and to plant the materials there, we would. And we didn't show that here because it's not our property,
Right.
but landscape material at that early location, I think, would have a greater impact on the line of sight. So we have no issue with that if the property owner requests it and the board allows it.
Well, for the moment, I think we leave that between you and a neighbor. I'm going to keep our focus on the specifics of the site plan, the elements you can control for now. But that you can follow up with that opportunity. Okay, so I think at least I'm getting where you're going with this and where enhancements can minimize the sight line. So this is from one home at the edge of that cul-de-sac. Arrowhead Way, right.
Louis, I think you testified last time, the height of the existing poles at the hole-in-one site, because the neighbors are used to seeing that, so do you have any identification of what those are? And I'm sorry, I don't remember what you had said last month.
When you said, McKinley, when you say the poles,
For the nets.
for the nets to
existing
catch the
nets that
balls.
are on the hole-in-one site, yeah.
Okay.
If he has the existing height, it might help give some perspective to the neighbors, because they're either used to seeing it or not seeing it.
Mhm.
So the netting, the range netting, those poles are 50 feet tall. The very ends actually angle down to something less, but the main part's 50 feet. And then there are also range lights at 40 feet.
Okay.
The netting, the base of the netting is about the elevation of the current building, and then it's 50 feet tall.
Thank you.
Do you think it makes sense for me to show another
Yes.
view?
Yes.
So a real view, things like that.
That one, that's much better.
This one, hopefully we can bring up on the TV. I think we had,
Oh, my gosh.
I think this one we did have Indian Path.
It just says cross section in the path.
I should say cross sections.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's what I think, right? Some coloring would help.
Well, they showed it all.
I think it's showing the
This is it. Zoom out on that, let's show the next. This is good, we'll just, what do you have up there? Zoom out.
These were required to be on the website or?
Might end up being-
I mean, we can mark the paper exhibit, but I'm thinking we're gonna focus our attention on the computer screen.
You're right. So this would be, I guess, A53?
And the exhibit on the computer screen is the same as A53?
It is, it's just layered there as opposed to.
Linear. Okay, got it.
So. This is taking, and actually sort of grabbing a little bit of an angled view, so you can see where a number of different homes fall as you go all the way out to Indian Path. Those homes aren't necessarily right in a row in the view line, but it gives you perspective of where those different homes fall. I can show you where that is on the plan, but again, it's trying to give you perspective here to the same elements of the truck at the far right, the truck height.
Wait, I'm not at the right starting point.
Yeah,
Where,
that's what I was-
where are these houses? They're in the cul-de-sac?
Indian
Because it looks like you're looking through, right? 4 houses at a time, that's what I was.
No,
Would this one
the
be helpful?
plan, yes. Those, you can see the names.
See that cul-de-sac up on top, right up in there?
Let me see.
Oh, that's the other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're close.
So he's saying looking across the 4
Right.
houses through,
Looking this way.
but across the
Yeah.
4 houses. Got it.
So you have it on.
Oh no, he's not wrong. He's not doing 4 houses, it's just one.
One house to the
But there were 4 on the thing, that's what I don't understand.
Well, he's going to this corner? He's going across
I
the
think it's
pond.
important that you establish, you're not relying on the
Oh, he's going to the
houses
center
to
of the
be
building.
anything, to be any of the shields. You're just showing the different houses and their
Correct.
viewpoints.
So here we tried to, instead of having,
This one remarked as well, this is gonna be
So it's every
A54.
house you're saying.
It's
Got it.
identified on here as the cross-section key for Indian Path, is that correct?
yes, that's correct.
So the view is from the backyard, so to speak, if you were looking through the houses?
So what we're trying to do here, instead of having, many different boards, was to create one. And so it's obviously not a straight line of sight, but it's giving us a view all the way out to Indian Path. There's a couple of homes there that comes through to show you where they would sit in this view. So like in this particular instance, if you came straight from Indian Path, the woods is even thicker also.
Right, right.
And then coming through the site to the middle of the building, give a perspective of where different elements of landscaping and things would fall.
Okay, all right, now I think we have a way to start.
And maybe we could jump back to the
53.
So, you know, you can't see the board very well, but you have a series of homes. You can see through here, this is the, you know, the depression is the wet pond. There's plantings to either side of that pond. There's the existing woods. There's existing woods, you know, around the Cranberry Brook, approximately 500 feet in terms of.
So where in
Yeah.
this perspective is the existing woods? That the X hundred feet of existing trees?
It's these trees you see in the middle section.
Okay.
And Cranberry Brook's in the middle.
So the four houses, that the perspective is the three on top, one on the middle left, then you start looking, and then why are we, I guess I'm a little confused. You're showing the trees that are existing partially drawn in and partially clouded, or am I just misunderstanding what I'm seeing?
No, again, it's just representative here, but this whole section from there to here, this is the Cranberry Brook in the middle.
Yeah.
This is the one end of the woods to the other.
At existing height is the question of the chair.
Right, and that's showing an approximate existing height,
Okay, not future growth. That's
not
what,
future growth.
okay. Whether they grow or not, doesn't matter anymore.
And you're supposed to be depicting each individual house, even though it looks like you have four across. So in other words, you're doing the first house through those trees, the second house through the trees, third house. Is that how I'm understanding it?
The view lines are just coming from the furthest house, and then we're showing you where those other houses would fall.
But, so that first house, those other two houses are in its view when they look across?
Can we jump back to the key?
Looks like if you're on the second floor of that first house, you can
You
just...
see the other two, right? Is that what I'm
You see the
interpreting?
other houses, but you can just get over the roofs. I think that's what he's telling us. Because if you're standing at grade, you can't see anything. You're stuck staring at the houses.
So there's basically four houses
Mhm.
back to back in that development you're telling us? Or am I misunderstanding? No?
There's a house with a pool right at Indian Path. That's where we started this view.
So where's the second house then that you're
There's a
depicting?
cul-de-sac that comes down.
It's a little off the
Line.
line.
I think that's important, that we're not relying on the houses to provide any visual blocking. It's
No,
just
but
to
I'm-
show,
But you're, so, I'm not understanding. So you're trying to start at the furthest house and depict the view shed. So then every house after that, according to that, would be the subsequent view shed. Am I understanding that?
I think you need to point out the actual elevations above sea level of each of the homes and why the first house is the most significant one.
It seemed like the first house was the highest.
Yeah,
and
that's
this-
what I'm not, okay.
Yeah, that's why I think it's because if you...
It's
my-
it's skewed a little bit to me, I don't know.
It is, it's skewed at a couple different angles, but my understanding is the farthest house happens to be the highest house. So if that farthest house guy has a muddled view shed, then the others will have equally muddled because they're lower.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's, yes.
Thank you.
Right, so
The word muddled that we,
Yeah, well, that, you
No matter how
gotta
you
have
look at it, they're gonna
command
see
of the
the
language to know that
No
one.
matter how you look at it, seeing the building.
You know, despite the depiction here of this section of woods, right, we've just laid in an image of a tree. But these woods, unlike the edge or property line towards Arrowhead Way, this is much thicker woods in a much deeper distance. So literally seeing through that section of trees,
So just remind us, you probably said this already, the distance from, in that middle slide, the one tree to the last tree in that existing tree strand, what's that distance?
if we go back to the key,
No, I mean, if you can give it to me here,
it's 500 feet.
right, so,
You can see
so,
that there's different spots where it's a different.
no, I get it, but it's approximately 500. So you first got to see through 500 feet of existing tree at that line that you drew before you get to, hey, what am I going to see on the site?
Correct.
Okay, now, we focused on that. Obviously, I want to focus on the third part of your slide, too.
Great, so just back one more time. So here, Again, it's a little bit split here. You can see in the middle at the top, we have landscaping on the far side of our pond. We then have landscaping in another layer. Right here where it says proposed surface elevation 140, that's on the close side of the pond. And then you can see where the water tank location would be. And then there's, before we come to any of the operation areas, then there's another layer of landscaping on our site.
I gotta go backwards. Remind me, what are the two sight lines I'm seeing? One's higher, one's lower.
So it's from the furthest home.
Yeah,
And the one line is tracing it to the top of our building roof.
okay, and the other line is just straight. Is it?
To the truck,
Top of
right?
the truck.
Just to the height of the truck.
Okay.
That I got.
Okay, all right. Okay, you're ahead of me on this one.
At this part, I am.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying to see the truck, you have to first go through the forest, go through some proposed landscaping, go through the water tank, then you could maybe get to the truck. To get to the top of the building, you have to go through the forested area, and then it is otherwise clear sailing if your site has made it that far.
Right, and of course, water tank is one location.
Yeah,
on
what-
the sound wall.
Got it.
And then the point of those two lines was really, above that higher line, you see nothing, you're seeing over the top of the building.
Of course.
And then identifying the truck because that's going to be closer than the building.
Right, okay.
The
Do we
trailer,
see,
I guess, is the proper term.
do we see a sound wall in here? I wasn't good at seeing it last time. No,
The sound
okay.
wall's not in this.
Okay, got it.
I think it's worth spending a few minutes revisiting the landscaping that you presented the last time. You did talk about it briefly just moments ago about how it has layers. But if you could just describe the type of landscaping that's proposed in all the areas that you're saying will be landscaped.
So I think last time we talked about sort of in different areas of the site. We talked about the entry drive and how that would have trees and things and how we were preserving, and now we're going to infill. There's an existing pocket down at 33 and it comes up in elevation from the road. There's a high point, and then that would get landscaped with both deciduous and evergreen trees. And we talked about what would have been towards Arrowhead Way. Going back to rendering. So then on the left side, where we had existing trees towards Arrowhead Way. This was the first view we looked at, and we've layered our way up to past the sound wall. And I think we've talked about it here too. This is an area where it should be much more, and is planned as more evergreens, both in shrubs and trees, and fewer deciduous
Did
trees.
we have this one marked as well?
This, I don't remember the number, but this was one I used at the last meeting.
You're saying that layering, I don't know if everyone can see, I can see that you've got landscaping, then lawn, then landscaping, then lawn, and then you have trees interspersed between the landscape. Just take us through that, because I don't know if everyone can see it as clearly as I'm seeing it from my
So,
side.
identifying this area towards Arrowhead Way, where we look through that section, you can see in the lighter gray, this is our operating sort of pavement, and then there are a number of deciduous trees that would line the back of that. And then we have in this lighter green, these are the infiltration basins, so part of the stormwater system. And those actually get planted and planted right down into where the water seeps in. So there'd be landscaping around that, so that's a vegetated area. Then there's space to where we have the sound wall, and then along in front of the sound wall is a row of landscaping, not just a straight line, it has dimension to it. And then a final line here before we get to the existing woods. This is where we've tried to contour the ground so that there's some mounding to it, some elevation change, and then landscape along that. So the reason that we separate that or layer that is that you just create one line, and everyone's familiar with what trees and shrubs are like. you're trying to obscure view, right? This isn't sound wall, it's not one solid wall. And when it's layered or in different depths from your view or perspective, there's more of an effect in terms of how it obscures things. And because we have the space, separating this out, creates a depth of landscaping. Even if it's not solid, one tree here, one there, it obscures that view. And having evergreens in here obviously is important to it being all season. And then where we started tonight is that in these existing trees, that area in and of itself is existing trees, but it needs infill plantings where there's clear gaps. It needs evergreens planted in there to fill those gaps.
And there was a Shade Tree Commission report that was issued in April. Trust that you've seen that it has recommendations for, it was April 28th, it has specific recommendations of the dimensions of the planting, the caliber of the planting, and also replacement of some of your choices with their choices. I trust that it's placed on the record that your office will comply fully with the Shade Tree Commission recommendations of April 28th, 2023.
Yes.
Mr. Zugner, anything further on the landscaping presentation?
No, I don't have any.
Mr. Chair, the purpose of recalling Mr. Zugner was to present the lighting and landscaping testimony and to take us through the line of sight exhibits. He is available to you at this time.
Okay, so at this point, we'll open up to any questions from any board members or our professionals before we open it up to the public. Anything further on this topic? Mayor, did you have anything?
Yes, I do, actually. Is it possible, there's going to be a lot of excavation and removal of dirt to flatten the area because of the existing, use that has no longer been used. Is it possible to excavate deeper into the ground to lower the building height to alleviate the line of sight issues that they're going to have to deal with in the future?
Mayor, well, let Louis answer from an engineer's perspective, but we spent the last year and a half with Mr. Shafai working on getting the building down and down and down, and we are now at how much lower than we started out? And
I believe we're 8 feet lower than the original.
And I don't want to testify as an
The
engineer.
original design, not the.
And we also took the 3 feet off of the requested for the 3 additional feet
the
on the
height.
top. So it's a 30-foot building, 8 foot lower than it started.
And
You
the
got
reason
some-
why I bring it up, and again, I'm not an engineer, and I'm asking, I drive around towns, and there's a lot of warehouses going up in Dayton, Monroe, and in North Jersey, and I see a lot of, the roads are at a certain height, and then there's a slope going down into where they're building the structure. And it looks like they're excavating more dirt out to lower the building, so when you're at the height of the road, you're actually looking at the top of the building. So, a little vegetation, some berm, and you don't see anything. So I don't know, now that, we're in the design stage, and I know you guys submitted a stormwater management system that it, meets our standards and all of that, would this be the appropriate time to maybe consider that and lower it another 4 or 5 or 6 feet? Again, I'm not an engineer, but if we can do that, then a lot of these problems go away, and the residents don't have to deal with, sitting in their backyard and seeing things that they don't want to see. And we maintain the quality of life here.
So we have been working through various steps to make the building lower. The limiting factor is stormwater. So we have to be able to discharge stormwater. So we have to collect it right where we operate, we have to get it into basins, then it has to get out of those basins. And also that stormwater system has to operate above seasonal high water table. So that's the limiting factor that we pushed up against. When we were here in a prior design, we were right at that stormwater design minimum. And then in a revision based on some other designs, when we rotated the building, if you remember before, rotating it actually was smart in many ways because it freed up space for stormwater, allowed the stormwater to get a little lower, and that got us another, I believe it was 3 feet lower on the
That was the
building.
last one.
was the last revision. But that's, right now is the limiting factor, that is the stormwater. There's no way for us to have a design that would discharge stormwater if the building goes lower.
The large warehouses in Monroe, a lot of the ones that we see in Monroe, and you drive by and you see the air conditioners on the roof, because they're all in abandoned sand and gravel pits. Work beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I did have another question regarding solar. I know that was brought up at the last meeting. And is the building's roof going to be solar ready as far as structure and the ability to implement a solar system in the future?
Our architect will testify, but a sneak preview is yes, the entire building will be solar ready.
Okay. And your engineer testified at the last meeting, you guys are planning on putting in 6 EV charging stations.
Yes.
And according to your exhibits, there are going to be 4 offices in each corner. How many EV stations are going to be at each office site? So if you have 4 sites and you have 6 EV, is it going to be, 2 are going to have 3 and, or 2, 1.5? Can you just clarify the number of EV stations as compared to the offices in each of the corners of the building? Because it just doesn't add up. You have an odd number of that don't meet the number of offices.
The building is designed to have 4 potential office locations.
Mhm.
It could be that there's 1 tenant and there's only 1 office, but where the EV charging stations goes, we can defer to guidance from the town. We don't have a strong sense. Tying them to offices isn't necessarily the goal. The parking is for not only the offices, but for the warehouse workers, so just making sure that they're in a safe location is the goal.
Okay, I just wanted a little clarification, because you're putting in 6, but there are 4 offices and 2 per office, or 1 here, 1 there. I just wanted a little bit more
Well, it
understanding.
reminds me of what we see at the Freehold Mall, where there's an EV charging station in the farthest corner of the mall, so that you would have to walk the farthest distance if you wanted to take advantage of it.
They're
So
usually
I-
all in one spot, all 6 of them, everybody goes there.
Yeah, so I think the point is you need to disperse them in some reasonable manner.
They are designed where they come in pairs,
They're stalks.
right? But it could be 2 and 2 and 2 dispersed.
But then one of the offices don't have any. That's my confusion.
I think it's an interesting thing that's happening right now. JCP&L is rewarding people who put them in their commercial sites with a $5,000 check. So I think in order to address the mayor's concern and not have to find a way to divide 6 by 4, the answer is 8, and there's going to be 2 in each corner.
That was just it. I have another question regarding environmental. You guys have submitted a endangered species report on 9/28/2021. The property's been vacant since then and has not been used. Has anybody revisited that to see if there are any endangered species that have moved in or inhabited that property? And has the board addressed, any consideration that some species have maybe moved in or taken home
haven't,
in that location?
Amy Jones, who did our endangered species study of the property, we can ask her to walk it again. I can tell you, having been out there a number of times, all the deer have moved in. That's what's there. It's
Just a
it's
question.
deer farm.
It's been two years and,
Yeah.
things happen and birds come in or whatever. Just a question. Second question I have regarding environmental, you guys had submitted a freehold soil sample and it was deficient. Was that corrected as of 4/18?
Well, it's a freehold soil conservation soil erosion plan that they asked that we make revisions. When that happens, we notify them that we're working with the township. When we complete the township presentation, we do the revisions to the freehold soil plan.
So it has not been corrected as of yet?
No.
There has been a lot of communication with their office about how the stormwater is working, how we're doing the discharge. So they know the plans and where we are. We just haven't yet.
This was specifically for the riprap line chutes?
Yeah. But what happened, as the plan evolves, You have to resubmit with all of the changes.
Okay.
So when we get that letter, Mayor, we write a letter right to them and say, we're working with other agencies, may we have an extension of time? They say yes, and then that's what we do.
I did look for that. I didn't see that document. Was that submitted to our,
The extension letter goes to Freehold Soil.
okay, but we don't have a copy of
No, but
that.
I'll give you a copy.
No, it just,
Sure.
I would have seen it, and
Yeah,
that's
no,
why I'm asking.
yeah, we write to Freehold Soil, just,
Okay, for the line of sight that you guys were discussing a little while ago, were you physically on location, or was this just a rendition that you proposing?
So,
Did you go actually to Indian Path, and did you actually go to Arrowhead and physically stand there from the cul-de-sac and try to get a line of sight to have some sort of physical idea of what the residents are going to see, or this is a conceptual rendition that you're just putting together?
so I would say the answer is a little more complicated. We've been on the property and we've been on surrounding roads. I have myself to see what's there. The diagrams you're seeing, they're created from our survey plan of the site. So our surveyed the property and located things. The trees and the tree heights. We flew this site with drones that develop ortho image so we can establish heights and elevations of things. That's how we got the tree heights, the existing trees. But we didn't try and take a specific photograph to establish a line of sight. This was done from the survey plan and material.
I think it's important to say, and the topographic survey, because on here you have
The elevations.
the elevation of each element is identified with topographic data.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now, until your sound engineer comes out.
Okay. Right, so anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry
No,
for
that-
that
No, I
time.
appreciate clarifying a bunch of things, no problem. Matt or McKinley, anything for this witness before we open it to the public?
Did we go over environmental commission's report last time?
We did, and we were asked to provide proof that we had delivered what they asked us for, and
Have you?
we did.
Because they questioned the soil borings, you had done them for the previous design, now your design changed. Did you do additional soil borings?
We probably have more soil borings yet to do, but we have done a series of different soil borings.
And you submit them to EC already?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
None for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks. At this time, we'll open it up to the public, so if any members of the public has any questions for this witness based on the testimony presented, this is your opportunity. Obviously, when the other witnesses come in front of us, whether it's the noise expert or the architect, you'll have another opportunity. Okay, just up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there even a microphone for them to approach?
You want your end?
Actually, before we, I have one other question I forgot to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding the trailers, you stated that somebody had asked a question about parking trailers there, vacant ones, and it was pretty broad in my mind, and I need more clarification. You said 24 hours to 7 days. That's a big, swing. And trailers that are being left, vacant and open is not something that we're looking for as far as storage is concerned, and it's actually, prohibited in town. So can you clarify how it's going to go from 24 hours to 7 days, and we're not looking for, the tenant or any one of the tenants to leave trailers there for a given period of time?
One of the questions raised by Mr. Lambros was, would there be public warehousing, question where warehouse space could be leased short-term, like anyone, like self-storage. That's not, this would be permanent tenants, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
But the question still remains, whether permanent tenants...
Sorry, just a little louder.
I'm sorry. The question still remains, whether permanent tenants or not, they're going to be empty trailers, and you stated that they're going to be there 24 hours to possibly 7 days. That's not something that we're looking to have done.
My personal feeling, Mayor, is that if I may answer that question for you,
Sure.
you're gonna see trailers there all the time. The way they explained at the last meeting, from what I got out of it is, one trailer may be put in a slot, stay there for 2 days, move, but another one's gonna be moved back in. This one moves out, another one moves in. So not one trailer is gonna be there for, no more than 7 days, but they're gonna be rotating trailers. So I believe that 365 days a year, you're gonna see trailers there.
So actually, I have the transcript, and actually, they testified that 365 days out of the year, there are going to be trailers there.
Yeah. It would just one may be, trailer number 2 may be there for 2 days, and then trailer number 4 may move in the slot. So it's just gonna be rotating trailers.
But there's going to be always trailers
There are gonna be
there.
always trailers there.
It's, the 30 trailer and staging areas were just part of the logistics. You have trucks that go in with, this is the way it was presented, trucks that go in with the trailers to a loading dock. That one might have to get out of the way so that another one can come in. It's not, the operations is enhanced if there's an opportunity to get one out of the way. The design that the people who gave us the design, the people that we're working with on the warehouse design, when we originally showed it to you, we had 134. That
Right,
was
and
a
they were moved.
completely different model. That was trailer storage. This is not trailer storage. This is just, I shouldn't say just, this is
Staging.
This is staging and operations of the warehouse.
So
it's-
my interpretation would be this is not staging, this is storage. If this trailer is not hooked to a tractor moving, whether it's 5 minutes that it's there or it's 7 days that you're saying, it is being stored there. It is not staged there. Staging would be you're moving something from a bay, picking up another trailer, like, I mean, it's
That's
gonna
what's
be
happening.
there.
That's how it works. So
Well, to Committeewoman Zabrowski's point, you have a truck that comes in that's empty, and, you know, he's gonna need a place to park.
Yeah.
And while he's waiting for another bay to open and be, you know, removed, and he's gonna be, you know, trailered there, he's gonna be parked there. That could be 10 hours, could be 5 hours, could be 2 hours, we don't know. But eventually, that dock is gonna open up, and then they're gonna need to fill that trailer with something, then he's gonna go on his way. So I think what she's asking is, at what point would we need, or would any of your tenants need, to have a trailer there parked empty without being used within a certain, you know, short period of time? I
Right,
believe that-
so I think, yes, we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
So why can the tractor trailer that comes in not get rid of its stuff and load that tractor and it takes off, as opposed to you backing it up to a bay, you unhooking the tractor trailer from it, and there's another empty one or full one that you're gonna take, and then that one ends up being left behind?
my observation, and I'm going to need to present someone who is an expert, I can tell that. But my observation is that you have a tractor and a trailer. The tractor brings the trailer in, brings it to a loading dock, may stay connected to the trailer or may disconnect. An activity is going to take place. It's either going to be loaded or it's going to be unloaded. Very often it's another tractor that then comes and takes it to its destination. And that having the ability to have trailers that are on site but not in a dock makes the site work smoother and more flexible. That's the goal of having the 30 extra spaces.
Mr. Pape, I think we are going to need someone to give us a little bit more color on that logistics, because it's not, I'm not sure I'm following either. I get that there's value in storage or staging, but I don't understand how it really benefits the business on a day-to-day basis, and it's obviously bothering us.
Okay, and I have published data that has been given to us on how drop trailer services work and what this is necessary. I can't present this to you. I'm not an expert, but we went out and got the data and used it as part of the design. We'll bring a gentleman when we come to you next meeting.
Or if your architect has expertise in this, I'll leave it up to you.
He'd cringe if we asked him to be a truck expert. Tom might come down and testify for him.
Okay. All right, so we're going to get back to the public, so sorry for the delay, but now you got a microphone. So if you'd approach and give us your name and address and your question.
Brian Scott. Brian Scott, 19 Arrowhead Way. Is it possible to pull up the site plan for our cul-de-sac?
The first line of sight?
Yeah, with the
first
red line?
From Arrowhead Way. Because my concern, I have a little bit, I'm not even sure if this is on.
You can raise it up if you want, or you can take it out. It's on. You just, there you go.
All right, so basically,
Very
the one with the superimposed person looking with their eyes, I guess, not the,
All right, let's get the right exhibit first. Was that the first one?
Was the first whiteboard, yeah.
And I know this puts a little pressure on you, but we're looking for questions
No.
as opposed to comments. Okay,
totally understand.
got it.
So, while she's pulling that up, to the point about the trailer storage, can we try to get a definition of what trailer storage is? Because I think we've kind of put it to it. I just want to say on my words that I am concerned about it as well. I think anything over 24 hours is, they're changing the definition of storage to staging. Okay, to me, that's, skirting the system.
That's what the board wants to explore. We
All
have
right,
a similar
and I agree with you. I
concern.
just want to put that on the record to say, hey, you got my vote on that, that I'm not going to be too keen on that.
And if I
Now-
could just add real quick, because it's a good comment, we have 2 members of the township committee here, and I think that is also something that we might want to explore in terms of our ordinance, because it's not spelled out as it is, so as a future thought, it's a good point.
And I appreciate that. Because to me, storage is anything over 24 hours. I think Committeewoman Zabrowski mentioned that once the trailer's disconnected, that to me would be stored. 2 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 7 days. That to me is a concern. With the line of sight, okay, I think this is not necessarily my house, but we're close. When we get down to the sound wall, okay, you're telling me that a 14, 16-foot tree is great. Well, we're looking at an 18-foot sound wall. We're minimum 14 foot. We got 2 years minimum before that tree is 18 foot, okay? So we're technically looking right over the sound wall, seeing the top of that building. How do we alleviate that? Can we potentially make a larger berm along Arrowhead Way with soil, next question, that we're excavating, okay? How do we alleviate this line of sight, you know? I understand that something will get built here sometime, some way, somehow. Size, maybe smaller, hopefully not bigger, but how do we alleviate that line of sight? We have to do something about that because the trees that are in that little portion on our property line and their property line, lack of better terms, is terrible, okay? It's paper thin, it's dead trees, it's, you know, the foliage is not there.
Drainage to come away from that property.
So let's let the applicant respond to the
Okay.
questions.
Right.
And I'm not cutting you off, you can ask
no,
other
you're good.
questions.
So, I think there is a way where we can't make one long berm because I'll start to direct stormwater off the property towards the neighbor. But I could do sort of, just like we stepped and staged the landscaping, we could create several disconnected berms that got landscaping up higher along that section. So,
The terminology that I've heard is undulating berms, berms that have different heights and different, so you'd have, there's plenty of fill material on site as Mr. Scott points out. So instead of excavating and removing, you could use it to sculpt these berms and then plant on top of them.
yes.
Can you get 3, 4, 5 feet height out of those berms?
Yes.
Can you get
The answer is yes.
higher height?
Say?
How high can you go with a berm like that?
Well, the answer is in terms of space, so I can't tell you right now what the max would be. I would say confidently to get 3 feet, yes, 4 or 5 feet, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that higher than that, I think we're gonna start to run out of space. I need to make the grading work to get the stormwater to flow away from you know, in the
Right,
right
and the higher you
direction,
go,
but-
the wider it has to be.
the
No,
wider it has
I
to
understand,
be.
that's why I'm asking what the maximum could be, because if we can maximize the height, then you plant your shrubbery and your trees above that, that will create, you know, a buffer from their line of sight, and that they could see vegetation instead of a concrete wall or.
Since we have a fairly unlimited amount of fill, let's work a berm plan.
So then my last question was about the fill. It seems that, I believe, last meeting, we were talking hundreds of thousands of yards being excavated out. Do we have a plan of where this is going? How do we handle that as a town? Do we have, issues as far as approvals for removing that amount of soil? Especially with, I think there's a stormwater expert, so I'll hold that question about how does removing that amount of soil affect, the grade, the drainage, and things like that.
Well,
So,
let's start with,
we have a place where it's going to go.
yeah, how much and where do you anticipate it going?
120,000, I think the last number I had.
I think it's larger than that.
Yeah, I think it was
It's about 190,000.
193,000
Yeah.
cubic yards
It was
according to my notes.
190.
Going at it, the baby counts, not gonna be here.
It's gonna be.
One of the interesting factors is the AACDML project across the street is deficient a similar number.
It's 10,000 truckloads of dirt, just so you know.
What?
And is the project across the street
10,000
approved?
truckloads.
Yes.
Okay, and now are both the project across the street and this project the same owner?
No.
Or something like that, so we're just assuming that they're gonna take the soil?
No,
It's a pretty abrupt statement,
it's-
because you jokingly said it last week, so it kinda irked me. Because you're like, oh, we'll just send it across the road.
You should say you come back with that soil application.
It's necessary to make an application for soil removal, and we will, but I pointed out that the project across the street that was approved in December has a deficiency that is similar, and in fact, have already told them about this material. It's logical that it would be used there, but it could go anywhere. It could, once the truck goes on the state highway, it can go anywhere.
So is there going to be, hang on, is there there's a separate soil application? Is that something that comes to the board, or is that part of this application?
Comes to the board, anything over 400 cubic yard, you approve it, not me.
So we don't have that before us at the
That's a
moment?
condition of approval.
So it'd be a condition that you'd have to submit an application, and that would be our opportunity to evaluate process and truck routes?
Truck routes within the four corners of Millstone.
Right. Okay, so I think we're gonna get to that, but not at this moment.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else from the public want to approach the applicant on these topics? Again, just approach the microphone and give us your name and address, please.
Michael Menino, 16 Dugan's Grove Road. You're showing everything on here about what you're giving them on Indian Path and the other developments. What are you doing for Dugan's Grove Road?
Present the landscaping elements from the Dugan's Grove Road side.
So we had talked about this the last time, and obviously haven't highlighted it as much this time, but again, in similar respects, there are some existing trees, and there is landscaping proposed. We talked about different species. There's an infiltration basin with landscaping on either side of it here. And there's also, we talked a little bit about the effect of the grade there, all along through here, so that this landscaping ends up at a high point. We talked about berms just a moment ago, sort of naturally ends up at the top of the berm to obscure building along there. And then as you get further up, obviously it's all trees.
Yeah, but those trees are very thin. I mean, I could see right into the golf course. Clearly. I could take you into my house and put you on my second floor, and I could see right into the golf course.
They're more apt to see buildings than anybody else. Burning in that area.
Right.
And
More than Arrowhead and more than Mayfair.
similar program, further burning in that area. Is there room for you to do further burning?
I know.
This is going to be a much tighter area. While we can try and craft berms, we're not going to get the same height there to a berm that we would on the other side.
But if you're adding in
What are
the
you,
idea of
250
the,
feet from Dugan's Grove Road? How many feet is the corner of the building from Dugan's Grove Road?
I'd have to check that dimension on that.
264.
Not much.
But I just want to stay with your topic for a second. So you had said that you would look to use taller evergreens, such as up to 16 feet, plus you would supplement any open gaps, which it sounds like this gentleman is telling us there's more than open gaps. So putting in a plan in place at that area, same as the others, of potential berms where you can fit them, the 16-foot tall evergreens, as well as supplemental evergreens in the wooded areas, and perhaps, if given permission, even planting those on the adjacent property, if that's a better way to fill in the gap.
Well, there's no adjacent property because it's the street. I mean, here's Dugan's Grove Road. My house is right here. My house is right here. I can literally see it right there. I can see it onto 33.
Right, so you're saying there's no value in putting any plants on your property?
I mean, unless you're gonna put a whole row of trees in front of my house and I don't see out in front of my house.
But we
I
do
don't
have space on our
know,
property.
those things are feasible. With the right question, you could get there.
And what if, now, I mean, there's no sound wall on the Dugan's Grove side.
Yeah, we haven't heard from the acoustics guy.
Right, so.
May I?
Is this gentleman happy to yield the floor?
I'm a wife.
So he's very happy to yield.
90,
Can we have your official
Sure,
name?
Lisa Menino, 16 Dubens Grove Road.
First one?
Lisa, L-I-S-A.
Thank you.
One specific question, gentlemen. 9,600 square feet, 96 loading bays. At this point in time, how many secure tenants do you have?
We have no tenants.
No
We
tenants.
don't go to market until we have approvals.
Awful, awful. This is an eyesore. I live directly across the street. Trees is not going to suffice. Privacy, noise level. Awful, awful. This is a residential area. This is Millstone Township. This is not New Brunswick. Awful.
I will say for the record, though, they are in a commercial zone. So just make sure that's remembered.
What's a commercial zone?
Where they're located and the properties along,
These homes are commercial zone.
Well, my house
You-
is
you guys-
commercial.
Right where they are is in the
I think you guys just go into the residential zone.
next residential.
We're a
Yeah.
residential zone.
You guys just cross it.
zone, but it's a residence that lives there.
No, I'm just saying, it is a commercial zone, though. That is
All
a
right,
fact.
so let's, so just from my perspective, the neighbor has addressed a question as to whether the line of sight would be adequately bermed from his perspective, and it sounds like you're willing to look at adding berms, making sure the taller evergreens are there, and supplementing any gaps in the view shed that can possibly accommodate his concern.
Yes, and I think also we talked about the potential of a perimeter fence in that area.
And just to emphasize, simply
But
because
what's
we're
a
talking,
perimeter fence?
Right.
What is that?
simply
This is a
because
height.
we're talking to, you guys want to take over, you just tell the mayor you want to be on the planning board, and it'll happen. We have some openings. But in the meantime, I'll control the conversation if you don't mind. Because the board is asking questions that are pushing the applicant to do certain things, doesn't mean they're going to happen. It doesn't mean they're going to get approved. We're trying to facilitate an opportunity for the best plan in conjunction with the neighbors' concerns. So thanks for letting us give it a shot. And we'll have more rounds for questions, particularly in some of the other issues you identified. Anyone else want to approach the board with any questions?
Yeah, I'm Christopher Leeds, 1 Indian Path. House is, well, it was on glass, but you can't see them. You were talking about motion sensors. Mr. Farrell was talking about the wildlife that lives there. I have deer in my yard constantly. Are the deer that are going to be running through your site going to be stopped by a perimeter fence all the way around, or are the motion lights going to go on every time somebody runs through the backyard? Is it that sensitive that it will go off when a deer runs by? I don't have the answer to that. I know that
Okay, could you find out for the next time?
I expect that you're going to have wildlife triggering lights going on periodically.
So the
A lot of deer in the area.
Well, but I want to stay with your first point. So the perimeter
My question
fence,
is- yeah.
no, go ahead,
So
you
they're gonna
talk.
go on all the
I'm
time.
fine. Okay, thank you.
Can I, more questions?
Of course, keep going.
Okay. At the last meeting we were here, the board asked you to find out the exact distance from the closest point of your location to the closest point on Indian Path. The closest point from your location to the closest point on Arrowway Way. And the closest point on your your location to the closest point on Algonquin Terrace. I haven't heard any of those numbers yet tonight.
Do you have those, Louis?
I'm gonna have to look for those and see if I can find these.
Well, Louis, what's the scale on your site sections? Because that was from the closest point on Arrowhead Way, correct?
Oh, that's, 1 inch equals 10 feet, I believe, on the long section.
All right, well, maybe for the next time, could you, I don't want to waste anybody's time. And another question I had was, all of your line of, again, you can only ask questions about what was discussed tonight, right?
So far, yes.
All of your lines of sight show wonderful trees, and somebody alluded to the fact that it's going to take quite some time for them to get high enough to stop us from seeing the facility you plan on putting up. All of your line of sights, is that summertime? Or is that anticipating the foliage losing the leaves in the wintertime and you're putting in your evergreens to fill in the gaps?
So I think the question kind of misinterprets the line of sight diagram. We're drawing a line, sort of this vision line from a house to the building, and then showing you what falls in between. So we're trying to identify what you necessarily see through easily, or you can obviously extrapolate the sound wall, it's hard to see through. The existing trees, I know there's been a lot of talk about how much of existing trees you can see through. They certainly obscure view, and how we're planting new plantings at lower and different heights. So I think I sort of started with that line of sight diagram is to show you what's between 2 points, and that we believe most of those views are distant and obscured. I don't think I've ever said that you can't see through it.
And my last question, and it goes back to something that was alluded to the last time we were here, called the undeveloped site to the west, which on your plan looks like light brown. And right now, it's truly undeveloped. But at one time in this room, it was decided that's going to be for COA affordable housing if we ever get to that point. If we get to that point, your access road, if that's to scale, look like it's less than 100 feet from the undeveloped site. What would that restrict that undeveloped site to do in that area? I mean, you're worried about houses that already exist. Did we just cancel the possibility of using that site for COA because of how close you now sit to that undeveloped area?
Mr. Chairman, this came up last time, and I do have to say, there is no plans to build a COA development there right now, so.
Right now?
Well, that's all we can consider. It's zoned for commercial, it's currently being used as a farm, so really, at this point, that's all we can consider.
So could it not be considered COA?
At this point, it is not considered COA.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that an appropriate question is, is the driveway that comes out onto Highway 33 the correct distance away from the property line? Or is any relief required for where it intercepts Route 33?
There's no relief required for where it connects to 33 or where it comes around the building near the adjoining property line.
Okay. Anyone else looking to approach the board? Go ahead.
Scott Demonte, 17 Indian Path. So from last meeting, it was agreed by the gentleman here presenting that they would also consider looking at line of sight at the high point of Indian Path. We just want to make sure that's still being considered.
I have to ask the applicant.
So the diagram we showed, that's why we went to the furthest house. That's sort of what we established as
high point.
The high point.
And could you detail a little bit more for me? So what did you see from the highest point of the house? What are we seeing from Indian Path into this?
These are models, not even actual
Right.
going there and
Yeah.
saying.
So I thought it was great that they were gonna do some more studies on Indian Path, at the high point of Indian Path, because the elevation change from Route 33 up to Indian Path was probably about 10 feet. Now, I don't have those numbers, I'm just estimating, because I know my backyard dropped,
It's-
and that's 7 feet.
It sounded like they did take a high point in that Indian Path visual that they showed us, and then took the line of sight from the second floor of that high point house,
Okay.
which is what we wanted them to do. So I thought they adequately did that. And just, there was kind of a question out there of, hey, did you take pictures? Did you see it? Why are we looking at a schematic? And I'll take blame or credit for that. A schematic gives you an actual line that you can see. What can you see through? If, in my opinion, if they just stood there and took a picture, you'd see nothing except the first tree, and you wouldn't have any perspective. And then we would say you guys are fudging it because you took a picture of a tree. So I'm comfortable with the line of sight to the extent it presents an opportunity to evaluate what you would see. If it helps, we can go back and take a look back at the Indian Path one if it would,
Yeah, well,
now that you
I
have it
missed
in your
that when
head.
I came in, I didn't see that, so I don't know what that detail was and where the site showed, how you would see they develop it or not.
Okay, so let's,
So-
yeah, so that's the one. So if you could scroll 853?
This is the right one.
Yeah, I think that's the
You
right
just
one.
have to
because that
Yeah,
has-
right.
zoom out a little bit.
One more up there.
Yeah, just scroll up, that's it.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, but it's the one that has the three frames, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
There's the house.
so that's the.
That would
Indian
basically be
Path.
your house right there, on the left, top left.
That's the high house, the high point house.
Yeah, so
It
you're,
says 17 Indian Path there.
all right.
Oh, there's the,
So the idea is you're looking from your second floor, you're seeing above, you're seeing your neighbors, the top of their houses first, I guess. Then you're seeing through a couple trees, then staying with that line of sight, you're getting into that middle forested area that's somewhere around 500 feet was what we were told. So then you're getting through the tops of those trees. And,
And so the trajectory is
Yes.
this way.
Mhm.
Where's the warehouse?
yeah.
Bottom.
yeah,
Bottom
it's like in three
You
frames,
would-
that's the.
You would see the top of the roof of that
That's what
warehouse.
I'm gonna see the top of the roof.
Yes.
Yeah, once you get.
You would look at that top sight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top side.
So we take that line of sight, yeah, all the way down, so this is not a line here. So we're gonna take it all the way down, so it's.
Lower dotted line is to your truck.
The trees are higher than.
Yeah, I see. Again, deciduous trees, so during the summertime, they'll be full, during the wintertime, they'll be empty.
Right.
So the line of sight be, I'll see the warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, the water tower's in the way, but I'm sure you don't want to see that either. So, right, that's what this is telling us.
So all I'm asking that the board consider that. If there
course.
can be something, again, I heard some information about lowering, and I understand about water drainage, you can put pumping stations in. It's an obstruction. I don't want to see a warehouse in my house. None of these people want to see a warehouse in their house. You're building berms, you're trying to get rid of the line of sight, not to see a warehouse from your house. Okay, so please take that into consideration. I think that's important. The other thing regarding the warehouse, this is a 24/7, 365 operation.
Yes.
And I understand, again, that the codes are, you can stage a trailer, or whatever term you want to use, for up to 7 days. So we know there's the semantics here, that they could move a trailer in, they move a trailer out. So you're telling me 24/7, 365, they can be moving trailers in and out with the backup gear going on with these neighbors. Now, I'm pretty far, I don't know if I'll hear it, but I do hear like some of the other construction sites. That's a concern.
And that's for the next witness.
Okay.
Yeah, we understand that.
All right, thank you. And the trailers that are being stationed, I believe there's 30 bays, that's only dedicated to that site operation. They can't park them for any other operation. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay, and how is that monitored?
Monitoring that type of activity is code enforcement, but it becomes part of the resolution and becomes part of the developer's agreement that's recorded against the
It's part of
property.
the development. Okay. Okay, so the insurances and development agreements up to the town to monitor it. So a town resident, if you saw some action going on,
You'd report it to the zoning officer, and they could go out and take a look.
Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Just-
further?
Just to remind the board, I know they're gonna bring in an operational professional, but just because they said up to 7 days, doesn't mean that's the amount of time you have to approve. And I know we're part of that conversation here, but I just don't want the public to get confused. The board has not accepted that 7 days, so there's more testimony and information to come.
Because I thought the first meeting when we had discussed the trailer storage, I remember Mr. Stibe actually saying that that was, the time frame was up to the board's discretion because it was not written in the zoning. That's what I thought I
Yeah,
remember.
that's how I understood it too, right. And,
Okay.
and we have to figure it out, but that's, their proposal is that up to 7 days.
Right.
Any other questions from the public for this witness?
Good evening, Anthony Cipriano, CIPRIANO, 21 Arrowhead Way. What would be the max square footage of the building if you were not to request a variance for the minimum buffer, the residential buffer, that is?
We haven't presented any of the variance testimony to the board yet.
So you're currently requesting a variance for a minimum buffer to my property, correct?
There is a variance for the distance from the building to the residential.
Nearest residential property, correct?
There is a variance for the distance between the developed site and the residential properties on Arrowhead, yes. Arrowhead.
Sorry, sir.
Don't worry.
Please explain the line of sight again from 21 Arrowhead Way. Will I see a building? Will my son and my future son see a building?
So, again, I think what we tried to create was a diagram showing that we used the second floor window, and at the other end, we identified the height of the top of the building and the height of where you would see the top of a trailer, drew that straight line and showed you what was in between. We believe it's an obscured view based on the existing trees and what we're proposing to plant in the wall.
So we will still be building, yes or no? And for how many years?
I'm gonna answer that right away. You're gonna see that building the top of the roof for the rest of your life.
That's what I want to hear on the
I'm
record.
gonna be honest with you, and you're not gonna see a truck because you're gonna see an 18-foot wall.
But I'll still see the building over
You're gonna
there.
see a building there, the top of that building for the rest of your life.
And then my second question, thank you, Mr. Pito, was the lights. Are we going to see the lights?
The light poles, they're down directed, sort of the shoebox style, and they're 18 feet high.
Will I see the lights? That's a yes or no question.
I would think you would not see the light or the light pole.
Can we make that a condition of approval?
Not sure how we would frame what you can or can't see.
Yeah, I mean,
So the only condition is that the light poles will be stipulated and they can't be any higher, and the lights will be pointed away from the exterior
So
property.
then you should have said yes, or
I should have said yes.
potentially.
Thank you.
Lewis, is your answer, they're probably not gonna see the light poles because they're 18 feet and they'll be behind the sound wall.
well, there are a lot of light poles in different locations, so
It's hard to.
driving in his driveway, is there some angle where he sees a light pole? I
No,
really don't know.
no, the
the answer to
actual
that.
physical
In this,
lights,
in
not the
this,
light pole.
in this
I see
line
the
of
light poles
sight,
right now.
in this line of sight that we created, right, where the light pole would fall in the service area behind the building, that would not be a light pole or fixture that you would see based on this line of sight.
And there are no lights on the building other than the safety lights that are down by the man doors.
Yeah, is there a light somewhere at some angle that he could see from his house? I can't really say I know that answer.
This was brought up the last time by another resident. There's issues regarding our well and the storm water and how that's going to impact, and the groundwater rather, and I'm not educated in this field. is going to impact our well and our ability to draw water. So I just want to put that back on the record. And the other piece is, how is this environmentally, if there's a spill or something, my well is the closest, and there's other wells that can be impacted. So is there a contingency, a fund, or what have you, to help us if our well is contaminated?
Do that for.
That's a question.
The Dr. Walker is our environmental scientist. He is prepared to discuss the diversion of water from the property. Perhaps if you could describe the stormwater system and how you design it so that it has...
And what about contingencies,
Perhaps
if
you
it
could-
doesn't go as designed?
So let's let him respond to question number one, then go to question number
Sorry.
two.
Perhaps you can
apologies.
describe the stormwater system that you've designed and the water quality elements that are part of that design and the standards that you have to design that system to.
Sure. I mean, there's a disconnect between his well and stormwater. But stormwater system is, as we talked about, meets the new and most modern rules and requirements. We have total of 10 ponds, and they're actually different ones doing different features. So we collect the water from our site, from the parking areas, from the building. They go into bioretention areas. So they're actual initial ponds that have vegetation growing in them. It infiltrates water into the ground on the smaller, more frequent storms. Larger storm with more water would flow through that. It would make its way to the larger ponds. There's one towards 33, and there's this proposed wet pond we talked about at the back. It also has a water quality feature and function to it. So we're achieving, by the rules, recharge of groundwater, water getting back into the ground with rainfall, the smaller storms. We are protecting flood control elements through the bigger ponds. And we are meeting the requirements for water quality by removing suspended elements in those ponds as it discharges. So we're meeting all of the rules. It is sophisticated and modern design for stormwater.
And is all of the surfaces, all of the parking lots, the driveways, the staging, all of those surfaces, so all of the water that hits those surfaces, then directed through the system, is every bit of it directed into the system that you've designed?
All of our developed sort of pervious or hardscaped areas, yes. There's then lawn areas and things that might go into one of the ponds or the last pond.
If there were a spill, the question is, what happens if there's a spill? If there was a spill, any spill would have to be cleaned up, it'd have to be reported and cleaned up, but would the water that hits the area that spilled then go through this system that has these quality control measures built into it?
It would.
Pretty much, that's how it's done.
Okay, and then we can leave
So
any
if we were
follow-up
to-
to your
if we were to
environmental.
minimize the
I'm
warehouse.
sorry, I can't have two people.
That's right. You have the floor. I apologize.
Chairman Newman, I apologize. So if we were to make the warehouse smaller, it would minimize these chances of spills. It would minimize or limit or subtract from all these other detriments that we've discussed this evening. So why wouldn't we just put forward an application that didn't have these variances? And then you would be walking out here. Like, why would you just embarrass us this way? Disrespect us?
From a stormwater perspective,
I choose not to respond to such a question.
So why would you put forward the warehouse that requests a variance and not just put forward the warehouse, recognizing that you got an R80 zone?
They have a right to request a variance. It's up to the board to decide if they
And the
grant.
board has approved it in the past. I hope this board would view it differently this time. Thank you for my time.
Approved anything yet. Anyone else with any questions for this witness? Seeing none, we'll close the public questioning for this witness at this time, understanding that as other witnesses approach, there'll be other opportunities for questions. Given the moment, I'd like to take a 5-minute break, if that's reasonable for the applicant and the board. Okay, so we'll reconvene in 5 minutes, whatever that is. Okay, thanks. We are off the record.
I can't make a hot chocolate.
Angela, thanks you. Oh, thank you.
I was-
Even like, ask.
I was leaving you out of it. I'm trying to not make you the center of everything we do, you know? But now.
Hey-woody-bop, doo-wop, bebop. Hey-woody-bop, doo-wop, bebop. Hey-woody-bop, doo-wop, bebop. Hey-woody-bop, doo-wop, bebop.
Yeah, right here. Next time. Yeah, good.
2 seconds.
Yeah, all right. I'll give it a shot.
Settling down.
If you're here for 3 hours,
That's my girl, that's my buddy. That's my buddy.
All right, all set? Okay, we're gonna get back on the record. We are no, do you have to do something? No. All right, all set, Danielle? All right, we're back on the record. We're gonna continue. Mr. Pape, your next witness, and just for the record, given the lateness of the hour, we anticipate this will be the only witness that you continue with this evening.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I've asked that Mr. Higgins, our planner, remain with the responsibility of hearing the fact witnesses. The other witnesses, the traffic and the environmental scientist and the architect, we have released.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Okay, please proceed.
Sure. We're starting at 9:40. I'm anticipating it's a 10:30 stop, Chair.
Yeah, we'd like to cut off at 10:30, and we'll have to evaluate where we are around that time.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, board members, the next witness is Norman Dottie. Mr. Dottie has been retained to provide acoustical guidance to the applicant and to present his findings to this board. I would ask if we could have him sworn and share with you his credentials before he begins his presentation.
Sir, do you either swear or affirm that any testimony given in connection with this proceeding be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And name and address, please.
I'm Norman Dottie, D-O-T-T-I. My office is in Forked River, New Jersey. Is that adequate for the address?
Yes.
Mr. Dottie, would you take a moment to share with the board, the board's professionals, and the public your education and professional credentials?
Sure. I have an engineering degree from Stevens Institute of Technology. I have a master's degree from NJIT. I have a dozen postgraduate courses in acoustics. I'm a licensed professional engineer, licensed planner, and I'm board certified in acoustics by the Institute of Noise Control Engineers. I've worked as a consulting acoustical engineer this year, 52 years. My clients include municipalities where I review projects similar to your board professionals, developers, private individuals, other government agencies, manufacturers, shopping center developers. Of late, I've been doing a lot of warehouses. I developed and taught the Advanced Noise Control course for the U.S. Department of Labor's OSHA Training Institute for 10 years. I have testified as an expert in acoustics at local boards such as this, a municipal court, county court, state court, and federal court in New Jersey and other jurisdictions.
I don't mean to pick at that list, but could you just name a couple of planning boards in the Central Jersey area where you've been qualified as an expert?
I'm not thinking Central Jersey at the moment.
New Jersey.
West Caldwell.
Okay.
Chatham Township, too. Toms River, that was for the county.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's adequate. We'll accept his credentials as an expert in the area of acoustics. Thank you.
Mr. Dottie, I'm going to ask if you could identify the responsibility. We asked Mr. Dottie to work with us to evaluate the effectiveness of sound attenuation walls systems and to assist us in coming up with a wall that effectively reduced the sound that left our site so that we were statutorily compliant with the sound levels at all of the surrounding residential properties. And he did so. We also asked him, after the last meeting, when Mr. Pato asked if these sound walls were necessary, we asked him to explore alternative locations and heights of sound walls. So we had an 18-foot wall that we asked him to evaluate. He did so, and I'm going to ask that he present his findings to you. He also gave us his findings with no sound wall at all. I'll ask that he present that to you. He also found a way to create a 12-foot sound wall in a slightly different location with a slightly different configuration that created the same sound attenuation as the original, almost the same sound attenuation as the original 18-foot wall. So with that as sharing with you what the applicant asked of Mr. Dottie, I'm going to ask if Mr. Dottie could present to us his findings. And the floor is yours, Mr. Dottie, and in a narrative, if you could take us through all of that.
Before he starts, can I just say one thing? So my question is, sound walls are not a permitted use in this town. So we allow fences, but they have to be a certain height. So why is a sound wall not a variance situation? My second question is, the sound wall is in the 50-foot building setback, which we don't allow sheds and stuff in our building setback. So why are we allowing a sound wall without a variance?
So, it's a good question. This is the first time we've come across a sound wall. They're not really common, to be honest, in these types of applications. We usually see them more along state highways. My interpretation of a sound wall is not that it is not a prohibited use. It is an accessory use that is something that would be customarily incidental to a use that produces potentially a large amount of sound. There's no, like you said, there's no discussion in our ordinance about sound walls. There are no regulations, there are no standards for sound walls. They could be compared to retaining walls in that they're serving a purpose that supports the functioning of the site. There are no standards for retaining walls in the ordinance, except that they are allowed. So from this perspective, Matt, are retaining walls allowed in setbacks?
Yes.
So I don't have a good answer to your question, Councilwoman, because I haven't considered it and looked really closely at the ordinance. I do think it counts as an accessory use to the warehouse, though. The board didn't ask for it. The applicant is proposing it in an attempt to alleviate any of the potential issues associated with noise. They certainly don't have to build it, but I think that's part of the testimony that we'll hear tonight is what it could or couldn't do. I'd ask for more time, though, to look into the setback issue because I am not, off the top of my head, I don't have an answer on that one.
Tom? I'm good. Thank you. Okay.
No questions.
All right, so between now and the next meeting, Kinley, you'll take a look at it, and obviously, Mr. Pape, you'll have your planner also prepared to address it when it comes time. Okay, thank you.
I think, Mr. Dottie, your early conclusions and guidance that you gave to us that the sound wall was not necessary is something that we should talk about up front. and then go through the benefits of having a sound wall so that the board can make their determination.
I would suggest that I do it in the order on the walls, but first, if I may,
It's all yours.
there is a statewide noise regulation that sets limits day and night at or within a receiving property. And the primary metric it uses is something called dBA, which is a term for the A-weighted decibels. That's a method of measuring sound so that the instrumentation, I'll say, hears it, measures it as loud as you, as a person, perceives it. dBA correlates very well with how loud sounds are, how annoying sounds are, and that's what's used. The noise regulation has existed since 1971. It's been revised a few times. There's also something called the Model Noise Ordinance, and then very important document is something called, we refer to it as the Guidelines document. Oh, if I didn't mention, I'm an appointed member of the State Noise Control Council. We write the regulations. The Guidelines document has a lot of detail in it about measurements and what conditions to do what in and things like that. And if you deal with noise and you've never read it, I highly suggest it. So the thing that we're using as our metric is this dBA number. And we concentrate on, when you have an operation that's a 24-hour or potentially 24-hour operation, we concentrate on the nighttime because that's the more critical time. The limit night is, by the way, is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and the limit there is 50 dBA. If you meet the 50, you're going to meet the 65 unless you're doing something radically different.
65 is during the day.
65 day and 50 at night.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Where was I? You got me. No, that's okay. You're allowed to ask questions. I understand. So what we have to do is assess the various sounds and then how they are handled on the site to project what our sound levels. We can't measure sound from a site that doesn't exist. We can measure pieces of it, but we can't measure anything. And of course, in doing that, we have to make a bunch of assumptions. We assume that this is a dry goods warehouse. I was told it's not refrigerated. That refrigerated is a special cat. That doesn't fall under the normal engineering rules. Different things to look at. So this is a dry goods warehouse. In all aspects, what's going on, what's proposed to go on the site is, to us, normal warehouse operations. So what did we do? We requested and got a AutoCAD file of the site that has terrain in it, building locations, neighboring buildings, property lines, streets, all this stuff, the AutoCAD file. We load that into a program called SoundPlan, which is a commercially available acoustical modeling program. In my opinion, I think it's the most commonly used in the world. It does its calculations based on an international standard, ISO 9613-2, which addresses how sound propagates outdoors. And it takes into account distance, reflections off of other objects, terrain, trees, if we choose to include trees or not, we often don't, grass versus pavement. Many factors go into how it does its calculations. Again, this is all traceable back to the ISO standard. We put the model in there. We have all the terrain information from the CAD file, and then we need to put in the sound sources. Now, in this case, for a dry goods warehouse, the sound source is really trucks. The air conditioning for an office are inconsequential. Little things like that, inconsequential. It's the trucks that are the real sound source. So where do we get the truck sound information from? Because we need, have you ever seen data sheets on like a standby generator, like you have out front there, which I'm sure complies? You would typically see just a dBA number that they give you on that. That's not good enough for engineering. We need it broken down into frequency bands because how sound propagates, interacts, etc., is a function of frequency. In particular, for a barrier is much more effective for high-frequency sounds than it is for low-frequency sounds. We need to consider all of that. So for trucks, we have two sources of the information. One, over the decades that I've been doing this, I've measured a bunch of trucks. We have that data. We also have the U.S. Department of Transportation has something called the Transportation Noise Model that comes out of the Volpe Transportation Center in good old Cambridge, Massachusetts. And in their technical manual, their reference manual, they discuss a huge noise study that they did for heavy trucks, medium trucks, automobiles, motorcycles, buses, a lot of different sources, at different speeds, on different road surfaces, etc. It's a massive volume. And we go to that, and we use for our calculations what the DOT calls the heavy truck, which is a tractor trailer. Driving around the site, we use a speed of 20 miles an hour. And we put that into the big spreadsheet that they have, and out of that comes the sound level information that we need to put into our model to do the calculations. Interestingly enough, it's within 1 to 2 dBA of our own numbers. So either we're both doing something right or we both did the same thing wrong, but that's what we use. And so then we, in a just as designed situation, we turn the crank on the computer model, and a couple hours later we have the results, which I will show you.
$855, is that where we are?
With this mark, the last one we had some,
Daniel, these were on the
acoustic
website.
exhibits with barrier and no barrier.
I think the first two are the ones that were marked at last month. So
What are they?
I think they were pretty close though.
Are these from April 12th?
these are from April 12th.
So
Makes a big difference.
with barriers,
Yeah, it makes a big
yeah,
difference.
48.
The no barrier one. You have
No
that?
barrier was 849.
A49?
Yeah, see, it's not much different.
And the with barrier was 849.
Mm-hmm. It's the same.
8.
Interesting.
Well, you want to do the third
It's
one?
over here, that's the problem.
These are
855.
5.5?
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
So there must be trees that are dissipating.
Here's the trees right here.
But that's my
It's
estimate.
gotta be.
This is with modified
That's
barriers.
interesting.
No, I don't know, that's the one that doesn't have it. It looks almost like the same.
No matter where it's standing. So, here's the result. What the model does when we're dealing with trucks, and based on what the state noise regulation is based on, which is maximum sound level, not average sound level. And the way it does the calculation, you see this, we're to look real careful up here, you see a hot pink line running through here, around, looping around the back, coming out, back down, and out again. That's a truck route that we define. It's generating the sound. The truck, pick a location. The calculations take the sound emissions that the truck makes, and then for that location, figuring out distances and reflections and all that stuff to everything around here, it calculates sound levels at each of those points. There's several thousand calculation points in the model here. So it's got all those sound levels, and then it moves the truck 1 meter, and it does it all over again. And for any location where the sound level from the new location is louder than the old one, it takes that as the maximum one. If it's not louder, then it doesn't replace it. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's always saving the loudest wherever the truck is. So what we're seeing is, and it's called that on here, Lmax, the maximum sound level for a truck driving around the site. And
we have contour lines here showing us different levels. The 50 line, which is right here, this is the break between the yellow and green. The 50, you recall, is the nighttime limit. So and I was concentrating on Arrowhead. You look at the two houses for the cul-de-sac up there, 50 line ends right about at the back of the property line there, and over by those two houses there, the projected level is about 46, 47 dBA, under state limit. And that's again, is the maximum. Average is something else. So, when I had this discussion about what to do, there really, in my mind, there really wasn't a mention of a barrier. So when I did this, I said, well, don't tell me where the barrier is going to be. Let me do the analysis and see what we get out of this. And when I did it, that's what I saw. And I talked to our esteemed legal representative here and said, what's the issue? You're under the nighttime limit. You don't need a barrier. And he said, well, didn't you see the barrier on the drawing? And it turned out there is a line. It's not labeled, but it's a line that runs along in here. And he said, well, that's where we proposed the 18-foot high sound barrier. And I said, oh, okay. So I'll put an 18-foot high sound barrier there. And that's one of the nice things about the model is we can make changes like this. We can drop a barrier in place and redo the calculations. And we did that. And this dark blue line here is the overlay on top of the barrier location that was on the original drawing. It's interesting. And what's happened now is the level at the property line and around the houses has dropped. Maybe, depends where you are along here. Barriers just don't have a number of reductions. Depends on all sorts of variables. But the levels over by the neighbors dropped. Well, here at the first house here, it's 45. It's also 45 up here. It was about 47 before. It's pulled back a little bit here. So the barrier, indeed, did what it was supposed to do. It reduced the sound levels. Now, one of the things it's going to depend on is what's the height of the house, the receiver, and what's the height of the source, the truck. And then when the barrier goes in between, it may be 18 feet, but 18 feet, if it's down in a valley, then acoustically it's not 18 feet high. It's casting a shadow. In fact, the term is acoustical shadow. So you say, well, gee, an 18-foot barrier only gave us a couple, 3 dBA. That's right, in this scenario. It depends where things are. Because in other scenarios, an 18-foot barrier could give you easily 10 decibels, but it didn't here. So I discussed it, and I said, you know, I really don't like where you put the barrier. Can I play with it? Yes, I did that. And what I did, just as a first approximation here, I took this segment, the tail end segment on the left side of the barrier there. I took that, took it out, put it up at the top of the barrier up there. And I did something else. Hearing about, oh, what are we going to see, barrier heights and all that stuff, I said, something's going on. If an 18-foot barrier only gives us 2 to 3 dBA reduction, sound's getting around there some other way. And that's what the end was. And I said, therefore, I can probably make the barrier less tall. So in this last scenario here, we have the relocated barrier segment over here, and that barrier is 12 feet tall. Instead of 18. Yes, sir. I have a question. I guess hopefully I'm not jumping the gun, but I don't know if it was ever discussed what the material of this barrier is going to be, and I guess the different types of materials will differ the decibels as well, correct? So a masonry versus a wooden or vice versa. Unless you build a barrier out of chicken wire,
Yeah.
what it's made out of really doesn't matter.
So
Once it's thick enough or heavy enough, in terms of acoustical mass, once it has enough acoustical mass, then whether you make it out of, you could do this out of 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood. I don't think anybody is suggesting that, but acoustically, that would work. But whether you build it out, there's wood barriers. State of Connecticut builds a lot of wood barriers. If you've been up the interstate by them. New Jersey has wood barriers. Basically, it can be a 2x10, typically horizontal, tongue and groove or shiplap joint, because the joints are important. You don't want leaks on posts. And that's as good as, for this purpose, that's as good as what you see along the highway. But they make them out of thick concrete panels and the sort.
So
And making it thicker doesn't make it better once it's thick enough. Then the limiting factor becomes what goes over the top or around the ends. You can see, in fact, around here, this end here, you can see the sound actually wrapping around the corner there. Ma'am, you have a question?
So we're focusing on Arrowhead, but Dugan's Grove Road is clearly over the statute limit for what the sound is, and there are residences there.
There are 2 things to say about that. One, this is what I was asked to look at.
Okay.
Number 2 is 33 is down there. Now, I didn't do a noise study around here with this, but I have done multiple noise studies along 33, and I wouldn't use their data and say, well, that applies here, but I will tell you that Route 33 is not a quiet road. It makes considerable noise, which raises the ambient, the background noise, which, I mean, sound doesn't go away, but it masks it, and when the background sound is louder than the sound that you're looking at regulating, then the limit doesn't apply.
But you're showing us the limit based on the warehouse that's proposed.
I'm showing you only warehouse generated
So
sound.
that's what we have to go by though, because I mean, it's over the legal limit you're showing us.
I was asked to address this.
I understand that, but I am telling you that there are residences, and just to let you know, I read the statute for NJSA 13:1G, and that it doesn't matter zoning according to it. It says that the sound has to be below the legal limit at the complainant's property line.
With all due respect, you need to read the other documents, because it is not just at the property line. The term is...
But it's still in their house though. I mean, the
heard what
sound.
somebody earlier talked about living down on this side and asked about the question. And my response is, it has to be. I wasn't asked to look at this.
Okay.
I was asked to look at this.
It's fine.
So can't we just necessarily, Matt, can't you just figure this out? You can see where the adjacent properties are, you can see the colors. If the witness can't testify to anything else.
Well, he can testify to it, but he's describing the responsibilities that we gave to him. We specifically told him that we had a variance condition on the northwest side of the property, and that we were looking to attenuate that situation so that we were not creating a burden on the property owners if a variance were granted. So all of his direction is as he is testifying. That's not to say we can't do something further, but that's what his direction was.
Okay, got it, because we are going to want to go that next step and see, well, what's the noise effect at that level of 50 on other neighbors aside from that?
It's shown on here, it's 55, it's over the limit. Mitch, that's my question.
You know, I hear you. I want to let
mean,
it come out through those guys.
If nothing else was done, and indeed the limits apply in this area, then 55 is greater than 50.
Exactly. That's all I wanted you to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dugan's Grove Road is above the 50 limit. He just testified to that.
Right, and that's the point of seeing it in the light green and the yellow on that chart that's on the screen.
Mr. Dottie, can you just, you didn't mention, by moving the barrier wall that you were asked to put into the model, how much lower did it lower the decibels?
Oh, with the original wall at 18 and what I call the relocated wall at 12, they're essentially the same numbers. Reductions are the same.
So there's no net gain?
It's not better, but it's not worse, and it's 12 feet tall instead of 18 feet tall.
Okay.
Excuse me. I apologize for my allergy here.
So Ken, how do you reconcile the fact that we know the noise, the testimony is that it can't get over 50 at the end of the property, but it does in that Dugan's Corner Road scenario?
But, I'm sorry, Chairman, your model is based on one truck moving 20 miles an hour through the property, correct?
Everywhere around the site, so if I put 10 trucks along here at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
as individual sources, not moving sources, where I'm moving them and calculating, moving them and calculating, I get the same answer.
So if there's how many docks? 90. 90 docks.
96 it says.
So let's start with a hypothetical scenario. If there are 50 trucks simultaneously driving onto the property and backing up with their beeps to the docks.
If I may?
Sure.
Over-the-road trucks generally don't have backup alarms. Some do, they generally don't. It's not a problem.
Okay.
I haven't found a warehouse yet where the over-the-road truck backup alarms, and some do have them, to be clear, has been a problem.
Okay, so let's go through the first part of my question then. If we have 50 trucks simultaneously coming on to various docks in this proposed scenario, does that not increase the sound decibels because it's a collective 50 trucks at the same time now going over the property?
Because we're working with the maximum sound level, it does not. If we were talking about average sound level, that's a different story. But the regulation is not based on average, it's based on maximum.
Okay, you lost me there. So if I stand in the middle of, and please correct me because I'm not an expert in your field.
We're good.
If I stand at some place in this warehouse outside and I scream at the top of my lungs, I'm gonna get only so far before my voice dissipates. But now if we add 49 other people and we all scream at the same time, that sound is gonna be louder, it's gonna be stronger, and it's gonna go further, correct?
Depends where they are. If you were all 50 together like that, yes, but when you spread them out as a truck driving around, those 50 trucks are not next to each other. They're spaced at least 60 feet apart if they're bumper to bumper. And more typically, it'd be more like 100 and more. How much, I don't know if is there traffic testimony on how many trucks per hour or anything like that?
Coming, but.
Okay. Yeah, when you see this, the number of trucks that's actually active on a site is a handful. You'll see.
We
It's not 50.
We haven't gotten that number.
I understand. I'm
Okay.
just giving you,
So-
because I deal with that issue myself as well.
Okay, so then subsequent to my question, let's say we have 50 trucks that now are in loading docks, either being emptied or filled, and they're at idle. The trucks are on, because they normally don't turn their trucks off.
Well, they're supposed to turn their trucks off, and if they don't, that's an enforcement problem. They have an idle limit of 3 minutes.
Okay, but let's assume.
When I mentioned having tested trucks, when I do that, I have had problems getting the driver to turn the truck on, let it idle, or bring it up to a high idle, whatever, so I can measure, because it takes me 5 minutes to go around the truck and do that. And he says, I'm gonna get in trouble for doing this. They really, as a rule, I can't say there aren't people who leave it on. They're not supposed to, and if they're not supposed to, is what I'm gonna say, and it's an enforcement issue.
Okay. Mr. Pape, this question is directed to you. Are any of your future tenants gonna do any on-site repairs to any vehicles?
There's no outdoor activity, there's no on-site repairs, there's no maintenance, and there's no outside storage.
Okay, and are you okay if that's a condition of approval?
It's an offer, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because if there's going to be repairs, you have hydraulic equipment, and during the summer, doors are going to be open, that is, an issue, so I just want to put that out there.
Well, on the topic of conditions, and we're getting a little farther out than we want. We're gonna circle back to some other questions here, but I assume your operations person can give us some comfort that there is a way to direct the trucks to turn off or minimize or avoid the backup noise, since that wasn't part of the noise calculation?
I'll put it on my operations witness list.
Okay.
One suggestion, if I may, is differentiate between the vehicles that come on and off the site, third party, and then vehicles that are part, what the state calls part of the operation. And if they have a lift truck there, or a yard tractor is even a better one, that moves trailers around, the trailers that are being stored. I suggest that what you do is use what's called an adaptive broad spectrum alarm. Instead of going beep, 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 it makes more of a swoosh, swoosh, swoosh sound. They just sound completely different, yet they do their job. There's a certain company that has a lot of brown trucks. At one of their sites we worked, and they switched to those with great reluctance, and it was like night and day, the difference there. Another big construction company up in Princeton, we convinced them to switch on that, and I tell them to do it, and we never hear anything back. So a few months later, I happened to be talking to a guy, and he said, hey, you know those alarms you told us about? They work great, so great, we're implementing across the country at all of our construction sites.
What vehicles would get that?
Well, the ones that they can, that the operator
On-site
can make them
switchers.
do as their own, or vehicles that they rent. So it would be forklifts would be a typical candidate if they have them, and another would be yard tractors or donkeys. Different people call them different things. The job is to take a trailer, pull that out of one spot, move around to the other. They move trailers around. That depends on how they run their operation, what they're doing. But anything like that's on site, stays there, motor vehicle type of thing, that should have a, that they decide, I might say, put a backup alarm on it. That's what we recommend.
So I want to get to the question of 50 decibels is acceptable at the property line, right? That's where we started everything.
With all due respect.
At night.
At night.
That's not true. It depends where you have, again, look at those documents that I told you about. You have to have an affected person. And where does that person habitate? Now, at night, most people, there are exceptions to that, but generally, the limit is actually applied at the residence, not at the property line of the residence, because people, the state term is habitate in their house. The 50 limit is predicated on sleep disturbance. So unless you have, I have another warehouse site that I'm working on, and they're dealing with a corner, and somebody's all upset because the 50 line cuts across the property at the corner. Unless the person sleeps out typically sleeps out on the sidewalk at night, the limit applies at the house.
Okay,
Read the documentation.
So then in all due respect, that house on Dugan's Corner Road, 55 is completely engulfing it.
Then potentially there's an issue there if the other rules are met. I'm not arguing that at all. We're just telling you what the regulation and DEP says.
Okay, so I want to take it to two different angles, and I'll throw them both on the table. One is, what is 50? Is that the same as a lawnmower, or is that the same as some other common noise? My radio in my car? What is 50? Second, if I'm in my house and 50's at my property line, but I'm in my house, which is 40 feet from the property line, does my house block any of the noise?
Absolutely.
So what am I hearing in my house?
The number that the state uses is they allow 20 decibels. So 50 on the outside, the assumption is 30 on the inside.
Okay, so now let's jump back to my first question. What is 50? Give us some common references. And
Background in an office without typewriters, you don't have any more?
Yeah, you can't, we have nobody in my office, so it's silence.
Well, here's one that's a good one. It's not 50, but 65. Two people standing normal distance apart, carrying on a normal conversation, make about 65 dBA at each other's ears.
So give us the stuff we hear all the time, lawnmowers and...
If you're running a lawnmower, 90 to 100, I'm assuming gas. I have an electric.
Yeah, whatever the guy does when I give him the $60.
And the radio in the car, I mean, I keep it pretty low, except when a really good 60s era rock song comes on, let's pump up the volume.
I still need some more frame of reference. I apologize. It's just me.
I'll send you a graphic we put together, compilation of typical sounds in various ways. If you go in, now, somebody's going to jump on the web and they're going to search. If you do that, that's fine, but I strongly recommend that you look at several different references, not just one, because you'll find some that say the speech thing that I used before, two people, is 50. And you'll find others that'll say that it's 70. So that's why I suggest taking a sampling of them so you can see different comparisons. Because just like the radio, it depends on what volume you play it at.
And I'm going to push back and kind of be a stickler for procedure. I'm not comfortable with everyone being suggested to go do their own research. I'm more comfortable with you giving us your testimony and we weigh it as we deem appropriate.
I will supply several reference tables with typical sounds on them from EPA and some other sources, not just Norm saying these are what the numbers are.
Because I want to, if I'm on an adjacent development and I'm in that spot where it's 50 at my property line, so I'm supposedly within the state standards, but I'm sleeping with my window open because it's a night like tonight, I'm going to hear the 46 or whatever the number is.
State says 40.
What?
You're requesting
With the open window?
Yeah.
40. 50 outside, 40 inside.
Okay, so I just need some perspective on what those numbers relate to.
I understand.
All right. Thanks.
I'll be glad to supply it. I have it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
just to continue his question, so if I'm sleeping with the window open and the sound decibels based on the barrier that you put in your model is at 47, correct? Then it would be in excess of that, correct? Inside my home? You said
No.
40 is the acceptable limit with the window
Outside,
open?
it's 47. If the open window scenario reduces the sound by 10, then you're talking 37.
Okay.
And I'm still back to, okay, what's 37?
Three less.
And if everyone else knows this except me, then I don't mind being silly.
That's,
Nope.
what about it?
Bottom line,
I don't have a
Dugan's corner, you're
sound
hearing it.
Yeah, this right here is way above 37.
And you said it's to the
You live on
dwelling?
Dugan's corner,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
hearing it.
Mary.
To
Whether
the
it's under or
dwelling?
under, you're hearing
The
it.
decibel limit is to the dwelling, the home, or
It
to,
depends on the use. How it,
That
if it's
everyone's
a-
got
if
their
you're
window
sleep, everybody sleeps
They're hearing it.
inside at night, the limit would be at the house, at the facade of the house.
okay.
Typically measure it 3 feet out, there's technical reasons for that. I mean, I've got a big pole that can run the sound level meter on a cable up there and hold it outside of somebody's bedroom window to measure it up there. There are other circumstances, depending on the use, where people are, if they have an outbuilding, something like that, then it could be at a different location, or where the 50 is. During the day, that's even broader than that.
Okay.
But if you have to have an affected person, if you don't have an affected person, there is no violation.
No, totally understood. We're on the same page.
I don't know that everybody agrees with me on
My concern and my question would be during the summer months and maybe spring and fall, I'm sitting in my backyard or their backyard and I have a party and now I hear these noises, loud and clear.
After 10,
or during the day.
Well, then it's 65.
Well, we don't know that,
Well,
right?
that's the limit.
Right, but maybe they exceed that. We don't know yet, okay? Because the models haven't been done. So what I would feel comfortable with is if when you run your models, we need to know how far those decibels go and what those numbers are. So we have a good understanding that, you know, what that number is going to be to the home, what that number is going to be maybe to a deck, and how the quality of life is going to be affecting these residents.
They're gonna hear something.
We have on here, there is a 65 dBA control.
Okay.
You have 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80.
What if we put 18 football rental place?
So that's all on there.
Which color is the edge of the 65? Is it the red or the?
Yeah, I was confused about that.
Here,
Yes,
Mitch.
there's a dark orange here and a lighter orange here. The lighter orange is,
I don't want
and the bands are 5 dBA steps. And then the darker orange is 65.
Okay, and I stand corrected. On the actual exhibit, it is beyond crystal clear.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Now, I was just saying, on the actual exhibit, this is absolutely crystal clear, so I apologize that I didn't take a look at this first.
Okay. Did you think of it as a weather map or a
Don't judge me on
USGS quad, if you're into hiking or anything like that? Oceanographic, it's just a contour map. Happens to be a sound. You read it the same way.
Any other questions from any of the board members or our professionals?
Mr. Dottie, I just, for my own information, does duration have anything to do with the regulations?
Yes.
The duration of the sound?
Sound is the limit applies to continuous sound. Continuous is defined as sound lasting more than 1 second.
That's pretty low.
Okay.
Does any, in evaluating this, do you take into account what the background noise is from Route 33?
There's no background noise factored into that at all. And there's several reasons for that, but a good one is that the limitations apply to what the source, the warehouse, produces. And I mentioned earlier, if you have a high ambient condition, you could have, or what the state calls the neighborhood residual, is if you had a neighborhood residual that was just, I'll pick a number, at night, say 60 dBA. Now, you can't measure, some compliance person came out there to try and measure, well, are they over 50? You can't do it. And in fact, the procedures deal with that by saying if the ambient, the background residual, is higher than the limit, that's it. No violation.
My understanding is the roadway is exempt anyway from the decibel limit, correct?
But not from the ambient.
Right.
But you're correct.
Yeah.
Motor vehicles on the public streets are exempt. There's a number of exemptions to what the sound sources are. The limits, the regulation does not apply to all things that make sound. The unamplified human voice is exempt.
Correct.
For example.
Railroads?
Railroads, the feds rule that. Aircraft, I do a lot of work with aircraft.
Emergency generators are also exempt.
Emergency generators when they are used for an emergency.
Correct, yes.
But during periodic testing, then the limits apply.
Okay, nothing else from the board or our?
Can I just ask?
Question last time about trash compactors, how much noise it comes out of it?
Depends how it works. When you put
I don't know, there's 4 of them around this building, so.
When you put the hydraulics package inside the building, our experience with them is they're near silent. You don't have any, the prime mover is inside the building. The pump and motor assembly, put them inside, problem goes away.
These are inside,
And that's what we
right?
recommended.
No, they're outside.
These are outside?
No, the trash vessel is outside, but the compressor is going to be inside. I indicated that in my opening. Mr. Radasti, when he testifies, will describe where they compact, where the compressors are inside the building.
You know what I'm saying? Let's jump see.
So in terms of timing and where we are, we're going to get some additional testimony from your acoustics expert, hopefully to evaluate some of the other neighboring properties which do appear to be out of compliance. And second, to provide at least me some additional information on what's the difference between 50 and any other number with some frames of reference that are pretty common for us.
Excuse me, if I come back, I'll bring a sound level.
Yeah, whatever you, yeah, go ahead.
That's a good idea.
Don't bring my lawn guy, it's very loud. Don't bring that guy.
I may make a request, if you please don't go home and put an app on your cell phone and make your sound that way.
Nobody would have thought of that till you just said it.
All the other people will think of it, I run into that all the time. I run into engineers who've done that.
All right, I promise I won't do it, I can't speak for anyone
It's not calibrated,
else.
it doesn't meet any standard, grossly inaccurate. Just because you get a decibel number out of it, doesn't mean it's giving you the right number.
And I also would want some additional testimony on a question the mayor asked. What is the difference between the decibel level and the average? You said something that there's a distinction between, no, that would be average, and that's different.
Right.
So I just want,
The standard is based on max level, not average level.
One of the statements that Mr. Dottie made early, and I don't think everybody heard, because I knew what he was saying, I knew what he was going to be saying, but if you hear it for the first time, one of the things that he said is, as the truck goes around and there's a sound created, every meter that the truck moves, the computer only recorded the highest and threw out everything else. So this is an accumulation of the highest.
No, the truck's doing fine.
And average would be very different, but this is against our interest. This is an accumulation of the highest noise level every meter around the building.
okay, got it. Thanks for clearing that up.
I knew it was coming, but
Yeah, no, he did say that, it didn't register at the moment. So what I'm thinking, if pleases the rest of the board members, is that since we're going to get additional testimony on several of these issues, I'd like to bring us to a conclusion tonight and then hold opening up to the public until we get the balance of the testimony, which hopefully won't, whatever, it'll be as long as it needs to be. Then we'll all have a chance to question that, and of course the public can question anything they'd heard tonight as well as in the following evening. Is that satisfactory, or does anyone want to go differently?
I have,
What if we have questions that would give additional testimony?
Sorry.
Give me 1 second, I just want to hear the mayor's question.
yes, could we, Chairman, could we ask, in your model that you changed the wall facing Arrowhead and you lowered it by 6 feet, it didn't change any net effect. My question is, are there models that you can play with that could decrease the decibels going towards Arrowhead Way and possibly Indian Path that would yield a better result?
Well, Arrowhead, I don't think is the issue. I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, no.
Dugan's Grove, you mean?
Well, for Dugan's Grove, yes, we've established that, but I'm saying, he changed the model from 18 to 12, lowering the wall, correct? But there was no net gain. There was no
so
net
you're saying
loss.
optimize his
Right,
model
if
to get the best.
I got the same sound reduction with the wall in a different place that wasn't as tall. I made more effective use of the wall.
No, I
in that
understand.
location, yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying, can you get more effective use of lowering the decibels towards Arrowhead? Is what I'm
can I
asking,
do
by playing with the
something-
models.
Can I do something
In other words,
else
optimize
beside the
it.
wall?
I don't know, that's your wheelhouse. I'm asking if, in your model, requirements, is there something that you could do that would lower the decibels